Chapter 776. Xian Yanqing was the first to strike. He used the heavenly demon power field to shroud his opponent. A terrifying destructive force suddenly erupted. Clang! Clang! The people from Intentionless Mansion activated their battle matrix. Battle sabers condensed and counteracted the invisible destructive force. At that moment, Lu Ming and Kong Jin's figures flashed and entered the heavenly demon power field. Have a taste of my axe, Mad Demon Battle Axe. Kong Jin stepped onto the battle platform, and it rumbled. With each step, his body swelled a little. The battle axe in his hand was as big as a door. It twisted the air into a ball, and like a violent storm, it blasted towards Intentionless Mansion. The earth will and the shattering will merged into Kong Jin's blood meridian martial technique. The terrifying power that could destroy everything made the people from Intentionless Mansion pale. Boom! Lu Ming used the hell-suppressing heaven skill and slashed his palm towards Intentionless Mansion. In comparison, Lu Ming's palm was much more restrained. It looked very ordinary, as if it was just an ordinary palm. However, the people from Intentionless Mansion looked even worse. They could feel that the pressure from Lu Ming's palm was even stronger than Kong Jin's. "Block it!" the elegant elder shouted. The 9 of them activated their battle matrix. Their auras merged, combining the combat power of the 9 of them into one. They each struck out 2 rays of saber light, slashing towards Lu Ming and Kong Jin. Boom! Boom! There were 2 loud bangs. Lu Ming and Kong Jin did not move at all. On the other hand, the 9 people from Intentionless Mansion staggered backward. Even their battle formation was almost destroyed. They were enveloped by Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon power field and were suppressed. It was difficult for them to use their full combat power. Again, Lu Ming and Kong Jin stepped forward and blasted out another move. The power of this move was stronger than the previous one. Heavenly Demon Hand. This time, Xian Yanqing also blasted out a move. A beautiful arm pressed towards the people from Intentionless Mansion. Boom, boom, boom. The entire battle platform was shaking. The 9 people from Intentionless Mansion were scattered by the violent power. They retreated one after another. The 4 warriors at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm turned pale and spat out a mouthful of blood. Haha, amazing! Really amazing. We admit defeat. The elegant elder took a deep breath and calmed his surging blood. He clasped his hands together, but his eyes were filled with shock. The 9 of them joined forces and set up an array, but they were still no match for the 3 of them. The combat power of these 3 youths was terrifying. "Thank you." Lu Ming cupped his fists and smiled. "The Sea Cloud sect wins this battle," the referee announced. Immediately, cheers rang out from the Sea Cloud sect. Many people's faces flushed with excitement. Who? At the scene, the people from the other forces all let out a sigh of relief, as if they were trying to calm their surging emotions. The Sea Cloud clan had actually defeated the Intentionless House. Before the competition, they would never have thought of this. In the beginning, when the people of Sea Cloud clan went on the stage, everyone saw that there were 3 youths at the 1st level of the spiritual sea realm. No one was optimistic about Sea Cloud clan, thinking that they were just going through the motions. Even if a few people thought that Sea Cloud clan might have invited a prodigy, they would never have thought that Sea Cloud clan could defeat Intentionless Mansion. After all, ordinary prodigies couldn't defeat an expert at the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm at the 1st level of the spiritual sea realm. The gap was too big. But in the end, Sea Cloud clan became a dark horse and defeated Intentionless Mansion. There was no doubt that Sea Cloud clan was number 1 this time. According to the results, the top 6 of this competition are out. See Cloud Clan number 1 has 8 places. Announced the referee. Cheers came from C Cloud Clan. Xiao Long was full of excitement. 4 of the 8 places were given to Lu Ming. There were still 4 places left. Before this, he would never have dared to think about it. The other forces cast envious glances at C Cloud Clan, and Xiao Long's C Cloud Clan was too lucky to get the help of such a prodigy. Why didn't they have such luck? Number 2, Intentionless Mansion, 6 places. The referee announced the top 6 one after another. Number 6, Crimson Moon Clan, number 6, has 3 places in 100 Venerables Mountain. All right, this competition is over. In the next 2 days, list out the places to enter 100 Venerables Mountain. After 2 days, someone will go to see Cloud Clan to get them. After the referee announced, he looked at Lu Ming, Kong Jin, and Xian Yanqing, and then stepped away. With the departure of the referee, this competition also came to an end. C Cloud Clan became the biggest winner. The 36 forces dispersed. Lu Ming and the others also returned to C Cloud Clan. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed. The top 6 forces of the competition sent people to C Cloud Clan to wait for the arrival of the messenger. On this day, a young man in a starry robe arrived at C Cloud Clan. Xiao Long and the people of the other 6 forces came out to welcome him. Have you prepared the list of the people who will enter 100 Venerables Mountain? Give it to me. The young man had his hands behind his back, looking high and mighty. Xiao Long and the others did not dare to delay, and quickly handed over their names. They could tell from the young man's clothes that he was a disciple of the Shangguan clan. The Shangguan clan was one of the strongest clans on this dragon vein other than the Wang clan. It was also one of the strongest forces in 9 Dragons City other than the 6 ancient clans. Compared to small forces like them, it was many times stronger. The young man took the name list and glanced at it. He nodded and waved his hand. 8 tokens flew to Xiao Long and said, "These are the 8 tokens to enter 100 Venerables Mountain. Keep them." Xiao Long happily kept them. Then, the young man handed the corresponding tokens to Intentionless Mansion and the other forces. As long as you are under 30 years old, you can enter 100 Venerables Mountain at any time with the tokens. After saying that, the young man stepped into the air and left. After the young man left, Xiao Long went to Lu Ming and the others' residence and handed the 4 tokens to Lu Ming and the others. "Little brother, Lu Ming, when do you plan to enter 100 Venerables Mountain?" "I'll let Xian Air and the others go with you?" Xiao Long asked. "Tomorrow," Lu Ming said. Xiao Long nodded and left. After the young man from the Shangguan clan gave out the tokens, he flew toward the dragon vein. There's someone called Lu Ming in the name list this time. Interesting. Could it be the Lu Ming from the Heavenly King leaderboard? The young man muttered, "I heard from Uncle Wuchen that Cousin Xingchen has an enemy in Tianxian domain. He's also called Lu Ming. I wonder if it's the same person. Should I tell Uncle Wuchen about this? It's better to tell him. If it's the same person, I don't want to be blamed for not telling him about it." With that thought, the young man flew toward the Shangguan clan. The Wang clan occupied the core position of the dragon vein. However, the Shangguan clan occupied a superior territory. It was one of the best treasured lands. Many majestic mountains rose from the ground. They were lush and green. The spiritual qi was so dense that it was like a mist drifting in the sky. It was like a fairyland. Many palaces were located on the mountain peaks. 2 figures sat in the courtyard of one of the palaces. Chapter 777. They were Sheng Xingchen's uncle and mother. At this moment, The two were drinking tea in the courtyard. Second brother, how's the investigation on that little bastard Lu Ming going? Is he still in Tianxian domain? Shangguan Wuling asked. Shangguan Wuchen shook his head and said, I've investigated it. That Lu Ming left the Tianxian domain a long time ago, and I don't know where he went. However, I'm certain that his relationship with Yan Kuangtu isn't that deep. Back then, Yan Kuangtu stayed in the Tianxian domain for 2 days before leaving alone. Humph, that little bastard Lu Ming. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been humiliated in public by Yan Kuangtu. Shangguan Wuling's face was twisted. Little sister, let's forget about Yan Kuangtu. He's one of the highest commanders of the Imperial Sky Guard. Even our old ancestor wouldn't dare to offend him. Shangguan Wuchen's face changed slightly. Second brother, I know that, but we can't let Lu Ming go. Shangguan Wuling said coldly. You don't have to worry about this. That lad Lu Ming is quite talented. He definitely won't miss the Battle of Providence. By then, he might come to Nine Dragons City. As long as he comes to Nine Dragons City, won't he be at our mercy? Shangguan Wuchen took a sip of tea, a cold smile on his face. As they were talking, a young man walked in. He was the one who went to the Sea Cloud sect to give out the 100 Supremes Mountain Entrance token. His name was Shangguan Jinhui. Jinhui, why are you here? Aren't you working in the Imperial Sky Guard? Shangguan Wuchen stood up and smiled when he saw the young man. Uncle Wuchen and Aunt Wuling are also here. It just so happens that I have something to discuss with the two of you, so I came back on the way. Shangguan Jinhui said. Oh, what is it? Shangguan Wuchen was curious. I heard that cousin Xingchen has an enemy in Tianxian domain called Lu Ming, right? Shangguan Jinhui said. Jinhui, do you have news about Lu Ming? Shangguan Wuling's eyes lit up. Shangguan Jinhui nodded and said, This time I went to the periphery of the Dragon Vein to issue a few small forces a token to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain. Lu Ming's name was in the nomination of one of the forces. Therefore, I wanted to tell you about it. Could it be someone with the same name? Shangguan Wuchen asked. I don't know about that. Shangguan Jinhui shook his head. He was only responsible for issuing the tokens and didn't know anything else. As for the situation of the competition, he naturally didn't know anything about it. Second brother, I plan to go and take a look. What if it's that little bastard? Humph, you want to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain? Dream on. Shangguan Wuling's face twisted. I have delivered your message. Farewell. Shangguan Jinhui cupped his fists and turned to leave. All right, then let's go take a look. If it's that little bastard, I'll just cripple him. Shangguan Wuchen said coldly. Early in the morning on the next day, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing Kong Jin, Wan Tingting, the 4 young men from the Ocean Cloud sect, and Qiao Xian were surprisingly amongst them. The group of 8 flew towards the Dragon Vein. The entrance to the 100 Supremes Mountain was above the Dragon Vein. The Supremes on the 100 Supremes Mountain referred to Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts, and Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts were also called Exalts. Supposedly, not only was the spirit energy of the heavens and the earth extremely dense within the 100 Supremes Mountain, over 100 Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts had left behind their cultivation imprints within the 100 Supremes Mountain. It was even to the extent that some Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts had left behind their inheritances within the 100 Supremes Mountain. In history, some peerless experts were unable to find a suitable successor while they were still alive, so they would leave behind their inheritances through some sort of special method in hopes that a suitable successor would be able to inherit their mantle. So not only could one utilize the imprints left behind by Domain Enlightened Spirit God Realm experts to comprehend the concepts of the heavens and the earth, It was even to the extent that it was very likely for one to obtain the inheritance of a domain enlightened spirit god realm expert. Some formidable domain enlightened spirit god realm experts even possessed divine grade cultivation techniques and martial skills, and it was unavoidable that others were tempted. Lu Ming's group of 8 flew forward at an extremely swift speed. They were able to see an extremely grand and majestic mountain range lying on the ground from afar. This mountain range was the Dragon Vein, and it stretched as far as the eye could see. It was too large and majestic. What dense spirit energy of the heavens and the earth! Lu Ming sighed with admiration. The spirit energy of the heavens and the earth above the Dragon Vein was even denser, and it was a few times denser than the luxury gathering city. Moreover, one could comprehend the concepts of the heavens and the earth even more clearly. The environment was too good, and it was impossible for one's cultivation not to improve while cultivating in such an environment. They flew into the Dragon Vein and flew towards the entrance of the 100 Supremes Mountain. It wasn't long before they arrived at an enormous platform. There was an enormous door of light before the platform, and that was the entrance to the 100 Supremes Mountain. There were experts standing guard before the door of light. "Little bastard, is it really you?" Right when Lu Ming's group descended onto the platform, a sharp cry resounded. Lu Ming looked towards the source of the voice, and he was stunned. He saw Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling. At this moment, Shangguan Wuling was glaring at him with a ferocious expression. Lu Ming frowned. He didn't expect to bump into the Shangguan clan here. "Little bastard, you're really something. You actually managed to get a spot to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain after coming to the 9 Dragons city." Shangguan Wuling strode over. At the same time, Shangguan Wuchen also strode over, and there was a tall young man beside them. They stood in front of Lu Ming's group, blocking Lu Ming's path. "Get out of the way, you're blocking the way." Lu Ming frowned. "Get out of the way. Little bastard, do you know what's in front of you? That's the 100 Supremes Mountain, the sacred cultivation ground of the 9 Dragons city. What about you? Who do you think you are? You're just a kid from a barren mountain in the Tianxian region. What qualifications do you have to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain? Now, hand over your entry token and get lost." Shangguan Wuling said coldly. Back then, Lu Ming had injured Sheng Xing in front of everyone, causing Yan Kuangtu to slap her in front of everyone. This was a great humiliation to her. Even after such a long time, she still hated Lu Ming to the core. In addition, she didn't dare to offend Yan Kuangtu, so she could only blame everything on Lu Ming. "Lu Ming, who is this crazy woman? She must be sick in the head." Kong Jin said, unhappily, "Just a crazy dog. Let's go." Lu Ming shook his head and walked to the side, trying to bypass Shangguan Wuling and the others. "Little bastard, what did you say? How dare you scold me? You're courting death." Shangguan Wuling screamed. Boom! Shangguan Wuchen took a step forward and stood in front of Lu Ming's group. A powerful aura burst out, 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. Now, Lu Ming could clearly sense Shangguan Wuchen's cultivation. The corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. 2nd level spiritual sea realm. He could suppress him with a flip of his hand. "I advise you to get out of the way." Lu Ming looked at Shangguan Wuchen indifferently. "Little bastard, how dare you insult me? Today, none of you can leave." Chapter 778. Shoo! As soon as Shangguan Wuling finished her words, Lu Ming suddenly took a step forward and slapped her. Pa! A loud slap was heard. Shangguan Wuling screamed as her body flew out and landed dozens of meters away. Her hair was disheveled, and one side of her face was swollen. She looked at Lu Ming in shock, completely stunned. Lu Ming dared to slap her. How dare he slap her? She would never have dreamed of that. You're just a mad dog. I gave you face, but you didn't take it. Lu Ming said coldly. Ah. At this moment, Shangguan Wuling finally came to her senses. She screamed hysterically, her eyes full of viciousness. She glared at Lu Ming and shouted, "Little bastard! How dare you hit me? I want you dead. I want to skin you alive and pull your tendons." "Pa!" Lu Ming waved his hand again, and another slap landed on the other side of Shangguan Wuling's face. Immediately, her body flew out again and landed on the ground, puking out blood. She was completely stunned. "How dare you? You are looking for death." Shangguan Wuchen roared furiously. He moved his body and slapped Lu Ming with his palm. Pung! Lu Ming took a step forward, and all of Shangguan Wuchen's attacks vanished into thin air. In the next second, he felt his throat tighten. His throat had been gripped by Lu Ming's steel-like claws. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Lu Ming had broken through all of his attacks and defenses with only one attack and gripped his throat. "Do you still think that I am the old me?" Lu Ming gripped Shangguan Wuchen's neck and lifted him up high. Shangguan Wuchen's face was red. He could not use the Jin Yuan in his body at all, as it had been sealed by Lu Ming. His heart was in a state of turmoil. How long had it been? It had not even been a year. Back in Tianxian region, he was a Sea of Souls realm warrior, looking down on Lu Ming. In his eyes, Lu Ming was like an ant that he could kill easily. But now, he was actually so weak in Lu Ming's hands, unable to resist at all. It was a complete reversal from before. "Kid, let go of your hand. Lord Wuchen is a direct descendant of the Shangguan clan. If anything happens to him, you're dead." A young man who had been following behind Lu Ming released a powerful aura that enveloped Lu Ming, peak of the third layer of the spiritual sea realm. This youth had the cultivation of the peak of the third layer of the spiritual ocean realm. "Really?" Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. The young man was shocked and shouted, "You're bullying the weak because you're strong. What kind of ability is that? If you have the ability, fight me." "All right, you are not allowed to kill or fight at the entrance of the 100 Supremes Mountain. If you have any grudges, leave this place or enter the 100 Supremes Mountain to settle them." Right at that moment, an aged voice sounded from the entrance of the 100 Supremes Mountain. The complexion of the Shangguan clan's young man changed when he heard this voice. Then he restrained his aura. Bang! Lu Ming flung Shangguan Wuchen away. "Get out of the way. If you want to find me, I'll be waiting for you at the 100 Supremes Mountain." Lu Ming looked at the young man. Although this young man had the cultivation of the peak of the third layer of the spiritual ocean realm, he didn't give Lu Ming any pressure. Obviously, he wasn't a prodigy. In a superior environment like the Nine Dragon City, some big families like the Shangguan clan, especially the 6 ancient families, definitely had many young men under the age of 30 who had entered the spiritual ocean realm. However, these people weren't prodigies. Their battle power wasn't strong, and their potential was limited. If they really wanted to fight, Lu Ming could suppress them with a flip of his hand. The young man snorted and rushed towards Shangguan Wuchen and the others to check on their injuries. "You're so weak, and you want to find trouble? How boring." Kong Jin pursed his lips. They walked towards the entrance. "Lu Ming, there are still a few prodigies in the Shangguan clan. You still have to be careful." Qiao Xian reminded him softly. "No worries." Lu Ming smiled. He was never afraid of challenges. Only challenges could make him improve faster. The 8 of them showed their tokens and entered the 100 Supremes Mountain without any obstruction. Little bastard, I want him dead." On the platform, Shangguan Wuling screamed. Her face was ferocious like a ghost. Lu Ming dared to slap her. How dare he? Yen Quangta dared to slap her, and Lu Ming dared to do the same. Although Shangguan Wuling's cultivation was low, her status wasn't low. She was the daughter of a powerful elder in the Shangguan clan, who dared to slap her. How about this? Let's go back first. I'll call a few more experts to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain and kill that Lu Ming. The young man said, Okay, let's go back first. Shangguan Wuchen nodded, and the three of them flew back to the Shangguan clan. When they arrived at the Shangguan clan, they bumped into a few people. Mother, uncle, what happened to you? Who did this? You're courting death. One of the young men was Sheng Xingchen. He saw Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling's injuries at a glance. Shangguan Wuling's face was swollen, and it hadn't gone down yet. Sheng Xingchen was filled with killing intent. Xingchen, you're out? It's Lu Ming. It's that little bastard, Lu Ming. He dared to slap me. Shangguan Wuling shouted. Lu Ming? It's him. Sheng Xingchen's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. What's going on? A majestic voice sounded. The one who spoke was a tall and mighty old man. His eyes were sharp, and he looked majestic. This old man was Shangguan Wuchen and Shangguan Wuling's father. He was a powerful elder in the Shangguan clan. Father, it's like this. Shangguan Wuchen explained the matter briefly. Lu Ming is courting death. I'll go to the 100 Supremes Mountain and kill him now. Sheng Xingchen's killing intent exploded, and a terrifying aura spread out from his body. Sheng Xingchen's cultivation had also broken through to the spiritual sea realm. He wasn't in the first level of the spiritual sea realm, but the second level. Xingchen, you shouldn't fight now. Your bloodline is extraordinary. It's the 7 stars scroll. If you can awaken the true 7 stars of the Heavenly Dipper realm, it'll definitely be a God-grade bloodline. The most important thing for you now is to go into seclusion and awaken the 3rd bloodline. If you can awaken the God-grade bloodline, you'll be able to enter the ranks of the God-grade supreme talents. Sheng Xingchen said in a deep voice, Grandfather, are you going to let Lu Ming go? I can't accept it. Sheng Xingchen said, It's nothing compared to awakening the God-grade bloodline. How about this? Jin Ju, bring a few people and bring Lu Ming's head to me. Sheng Xingchen turned around and said to another young man, Elder, don't worry. Lu Ming will die. The young man smiled. Shangguan Wuchen and the others were also delighted. Shangguan Jinjue was a peerless genius of the Shangguan clan. He was ranked 465 on the list of top 1,000 talents. With his help, Lu Ming was doomed. Shangguan Jinjue turned around and left. After Lu Ming and the others stepped through the door, they appeared on another platform. Chapter 779. It was said that the 100 Supremes Mountain was not a plain. It was actually located above the Dragon Vein. However, it was surrounded by a supreme array and was completely isolated. There was only one entrance. Although the 100 Supremes Mountain is called the 100 Supremes Mountain, there are more than 100 Supremes who have left their imprints and inheritances. There are probably a few hundred of them scattered in every corner. Qiao Xian explained, Haha, Lu Ming, it seems like we have to cultivate separately. Let's see who improves faster after some time. Kong Jin laughed. Each of them specialized in different areas and comprehended different intents. Of course, they could not cultivate together. In the 100 Supremes Mountain, they had to find the one that was most suitable for them in order to improve their comprehension. Similarly, they had to rely on luck. All right, let's meet here after some time. Lu Ming nodded. Then the 8 of them split up and each chose a direction and flew forward. The 100 Supremes Mountain was huge. It was more than 100,000 miles wide, and there were countless peaks. No one knew which peak or corner would have the imprints left behind by the Supremes. Moreover, the spiritual chi in the 100 Supremes mountain was unimaginably dense. It was several times denser than the dragon vein outside. Lu Ming felt that the spiritual chi here was almost as dense as a lower spiritual crystal. What did that mean? It was as if the spiritual chi in the heavens and earth were all lower spiritual crystals. In a breath, the spiritual chi in a few lower spiritual crystals would be absorbed. If I cultivate here, I don't even need spiritual crystals. Lu Ming sighed. He was really envious of those people from the big families. However, now was not the time to cultivate. He had to find a suitable imprint and comprehend the intents. That was the key. Lu Ming flew all the way. Soon, he found more than 10 people sitting on the shore of a small lake. Lu Ming landed and discovered that there was a powerful aura emanating from the lake. He sensed it carefully and suddenly felt that there was a giant dragon in the lake that was pouncing towards him. The dragon contained a powerful water intent. Lu Ming stood still and allowed the dragon to charge past him. What a miraculous water concept! It contains the comprehension of a domain enlightened spirit god towards water concept, and it can be fused with one's own body to draw reference from and comprehend. Unfortunately, I don't cultivate water concept, so I should look elsewhere. Lu Ming did not stop. He soared into the sky and flew towards the distance. Subsequently, he found a few imprints left behind by a spirit god, but they were not suitable for him. Suddenly, Lu Ming noticed a cliff in front of him. There was a cliff. There was a deep mark that seemed to have been left behind by a sword. This cliff was thousands of meters high. In front of the cliff, there were a dozen or so stone pillars that stood on the ground, level with the cliff. There were numerous figures sitting on the stone supremes. Was that one that was the one that was supremes, that was that one that was closest to the cliff. Lu Ming flew up and landed on the stone pillar. Concept of wind. As soon as Lu Ming sensed it, he discovered that the carvings on the cliff contained the mysterious concept of wind, and the concept of wind was precisely what Lu Ming needed. When Lu Ming landed, the people on the other pillars opened their eyes. When they saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed slightly. "Brother, I advise you to leave that stone pillar." A young woman said to Lu Ming. "Why?" Lu Ming frowned slightly. "That's because that stone pillar has already been reserved by someone. That person has declared that no one else is allowed to set foot on that stone pillar." The woman explained. "Oh, where is that person?" Lu Ming asked. "That person isn't in the 100 Supremes mountain right now. Maybe he's cultivating somewhere else." Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. "Since it's not here, why can't I use it? Moreover, the 100 Supremes mountain is public land. I've never heard that it belongs to anyone. If he's not here, I can use it." Having said that, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged. "Hee, lad, I don't mind telling you that that person's name is Miao Yi. He's the youngest son of the Miao family." A cold laugh could be heard from the other stone pillar. "Miao Yi? Miao Yi, number 501 on the list of top 1,000 talents." Lu Ming's expression changed. "That's right. Hee, that's why I advise you to leave. When he comes and sees you up there, you won't have a good ending." The young man sneered. "Then let's wait for him to come." Lu Ming said indifferently. He had no intention of leaving. "Humph, you're overestimating yourself. When Miao Yi comes, you'll be crying." The young man snorted. Lu Ming paid no further attention to the matters in the surroundings, and his gaze was focused on the mark on the cliff. Slowly, the mark changed in Lu Ming's eyes, and it transformed into a sword. After that, it transformed into a figure that danced about in midair, and every single strike of the sword contained profound wind concept. Even if it was the same type of concept, different people's comprehension of it would be different. How deep was the comprehension of concepts of a domain enlightened spirit god? Lu Ming used it as a reference to verify his own concepts and seek inspiration to swiftly improve his comprehension of concepts. Once a concept attained the second level, it wasn't something that could be ceaselessly broken through by relying solely on profundity crystals. If one merely relied on profundity crystals, then it was extremely easy to encounter a bottleneck, and one had to comprehend it. So long as one combined profundity crystals with one's own comprehension, then it would be the best path. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed, and Lu Ming obtained a great deal of new comprehensions towards wind concept. He continued cultivating. Day after day passed, and another 4 days passed. Lu Ming had already been here for 7 days. On this day, while Lu Ming was comprehending, he suddenly felt a strand of fierce killing intent envelop him. His gaze flashed as he looked towards the side. A young man in green robes was walking step by step through the air over there. "It's Miao-yi, Miao-yi has come." "That kid is in trouble." The people in the surroundings exclaimed in low voices when they saw this person, especially that young man that said Lu Ming overestimated his ability earlier. He was even slightly taking pleasure in Lu Ming's misfortune. "Now, you'll be crying." The young man sneered. Miao-yi wore a green robe, had his hands behind his back, and had a cold gaze as he walked through the air and appeared not too far away from the stone pillar. "Kid, who allowed you to sit on that stone pillar? Didn't anyone tell you that I ordered that stone pillar?" Miao-yi looked down at Lu Ming from above, and his voice was icy cold and gloomy. It was like a venomous bug that was staring at its enemy, and it caused one's heart to go cold. "I've heard of it. Someone told me that when I just arrived." Lu Ming smiled faintly. "Since someone told you, you still dared to sit on it. Are you not putting me in your eyes? Now, roll down from there and slap yourself 100 times, then scram as far as you can. I won't hold this matter against you." Miao-yi ordered, as if he was ordering a servant. Lu Ming shook his head and smiled. This Miao-yi was really overbearing. However, when had he, Lu Ming, ever been afraid of others being overbearing? "Let me ask you, does this 100 Supremes mountain belong to your Miao family?" Lu Ming asked. "Of course not," Miao-yi said. "Since it's not, why are you cultivating here? Don't you know that it's first come, first served? If you want it, wait at the side." Chapter 780. Lu Ming waved his hand casually, as if he was dismissing an underling. The other people on the stone pillars were stunned. Lu Ming dared to talk to Miao-yi like that. Who was he? Miao-yi's long and narrow eyes flickered with a sinister light as he spat out in a cold voice. "Brat, it seems like you still don't understand the meaning of my words. It doesn't matter if this place belongs to the Miao family or not. These words were said by me, Miao-yi. Do you understand?" Miao-yi still had his hands behind his back, looking high and mighty. His words were simple. It didn't matter if this place belonged to the Miao family or not. Since he had said so, Lu Ming had to give him face. If he said he would occupy this place, then he would occupy it. Lu Ming pursed his lips. How high did Miao-yi's ego have to be? "You? Miao-yi? What dog shit? Get lost." Lu Ming continued to wave his hand. The others were even more shocked. Lu Ming didn't take Miao-yi seriously at all. Few people in 100 Supremes Mountain dared to talk to Miao-yi like that. There were many cultivation, holy lands in 9 Dragons City. 100 Supremes Mountain was only one of them, and it wasn't very advanced. There were even more advanced and mysterious cultivation, holy lands. There were even inheritances left behind by Supremes, and there were even training grounds for Emperor Realm experts. 100 Supremes, Mountain couldn't compare at all. However, one had to be qualified to cultivate in such holy lands, and Miao Yi didn't have that qualification. Some powerful geniuses cultivated in such holy lands, and Miao Yi was one of the more famous geniuses in 100 Supremes Mountain. You'll regret what you said. The killing intent in Miao Yi's eyes grew colder. A green light jumped from his body and spread out. Lu Ming actually called him a piece of dog shit and asked him to get lost. Who was he? He was ranked 501st on the list of top 1,000 talents, and the son of the Miao family. The Wang family was the strongest in this dragon vein, and there were 3 powerful forces under them. The Shangguan family was one of them, and the Miao family was another. Even those geniuses who ranked higher than him on the list of top 1,000 talents would not dare to speak to him in such a manner. If you want to fight, then let's fight. What's with all this nonsense? I still need to cultivate. Lu Ming looked at Miao Yi indifferently. Since you want to die, I'll send you on your way. On Miao Yi's body, green light soared into the sky, emitting a terrifying corrosive aura. It's the concept of poison. Retreat. The expressions of the other young men changed greatly as they quickly backed off, their faces filled with fear. Concept of poison. Interesting. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There were tens of thousands of concepts in the world, but this was the first time Lu Ming had encountered the concept of poison. Die. Miao Yi waved his hands, and a green light mixed with the state of poison turned into a 100-legged green centipede. Then it pounced at Lu Ming. Peak of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. As soon as Miao Yi made his move, Lu Ming discovered that Miao Yi's cultivation was at the peak of the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier, more than 1 level higher than him. Boom! Lu Ming threw out a punch. The terrifying fist energy of the exploding star fist pierced through the air and blasted towards the green centipede. Sizzle! When the fist energy of the exploding star fist collided with the green centipede, a terrifying scene appeared. The fist energy actually made a sizzling sound as it was quickly corroded by the green light. The concept of poison was actually corroding the fist energy. Ha! My concept of poison can corrode everything. It can even corrode qi and zhen yuan. You're only at the first layer of the spiritual ocean tier, yet you dare to fight me? Die! Miao Yi sneered. The mist on his body became thicker. He threw out a palm, and another green centipede pounced at Lu Ming. Is that so? Lu Ming smiled faintly and stepped forward. Boom, 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 boom. 4 consecutive booms sounded in the sky. The 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps took 4 steps in a row, and a violent power surged out. The 2 poisonous centipedes directly burst apart. You have some skills. Sky centipede devouring sky palm. Seeing the 2 centipedes being shattered by Lu Ming, Miao Yi's face darkened. His palms turned dark green and seemed to be covered with lines, which were the figures of centipedes. The surging palm print blasted out. The powerful corrosive power made the space sizzle. Miao Yi's concept of poison was a headache for many people. Many people stronger than him didn't want to fight him. However, he met Lu Ming. Lu Ming directly stepped out. The 3 concepts of wind, fire, and thunder burst out as he threw out a palm attack. Boom! Miao Yi's palm print was shattered, but it immediately turned into a green mist and spread out, enveloping Lu Ming. This was a poisonous mist, full of strong corrosiveness. Devour! Lu Ming controlled the 9 dragons' bloodline. A powerful devouring power burst out from his left palm. The poisonous mist was devoured by the 9 dragons' bloodline as soon as it approached Lu Ming. Swoosh! Lu Ming's figure rushed out, and a long spear appeared in his hand. The bright spear light pierced towards Miao Yi. What's going on? Miao Yi's face changed. Lu Ming didn't fear his concept of poison and directly rushed over. Miao Yi's figure instantly turned into a phantom and quickly retreated. In the next moment, a cold light bloomed from Miao Yi's hand, stabbing towards Lu Ming. Concept of wind. Lu Ming raised his eyebrows. Miao Yi had also comprehended the concept of wind, and now it had reached the second level. However, Miao Yi's concept of wind and concept of poison had not merged successfully. A cold light slashed towards Lu Ming's neck. Lu Ming's long spear swept out. Dang! The long spear and the cold light clashed, and a loud boom was heard, and the cold light bounced back. Lu Ming finally saw that the cold light wasn't a blade, nor was it a sword. It was a centipede made of metal. This centipede was similar to a soft whip, but it was more mysterious. It could grow, break, and turn. Its attack was unpredictable. On both sides, there were many centipede legs. They were like sharp blades, and they cut through the air, making sharp whistling sounds. CI, Miao Yi waved his hand, and the centipede-like weapon cut through the air, attacking Lu Ming. Its position was constantly changing, making ear-piercing sounds. Using the concept of wind, Lu Ming's figure changed rapidly, avoiding the centipede's attack and attacking Miao Yi. True Dragon Strike. The long spear stabbed out, and a three-colored true dragon roared, pouncing towards Miao Yi. Although Lu Ming had comprehended the fourth concept, he hadn't merged it into the three unique skills of the dragon god. Therefore, the attack he launched was still three-colored. When Lu Ming merged the concept of earth into the three unique skills of the dragon god, the three unique skills of the dragon god would evolve into a demigod-level martial skill. During this time, Lu Ming had tried it whenever he had time, but he hadn't succeeded yet. Miao Yi's face changed, and he quickly withdrew the centipede weapon, attacking the three-colored true dragon. With a loud boom, Miao Yi's body trembled, and he retreated continuously. Chapter 781. However, his poison essence was ineffective against Lu Ming, and his combat strength was greatly reduced. Lu Ming did not even use his hell-suppressing skill or earth essence to completely suppress him. You think you're the best in the world with such little combat strength. Shame on you. I'm not going to play with you anymore. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' sky-stomping steps and quickly approached Miao Yi, striking out with his palm. The hell-suppressing skill. Miao Yi's expression changed as soon as he struck out, for he felt a terrifying pressure. This pressure made him feel apprehensive. Block it! He quickly withdrew his centipede weapon. The centipede weapon formed a circle in front of him, blocking his front like a shield. Bam! Lu Ming's palm struck the centipede weapon's shield. The centipede weapon's shield was instantly shattered. Miao Yi's body shook violently, and he coughed up blood. His body flew backward, like a cannonball. Boy, I won't let you off. Miao Yi roared and turned into a beam of green light, fleeing into the distance. Lu Ming's eyes flashed coldly, but he did not chase after him. After all, Miao Yi was the son of the head of the Miao family. Although it was inappropriate for the elders of the Miao family to intervene in the battles between young people before the Battle of Providence, if they really killed Miao Yi, the head of the Miao family might go crazy. However, if Miao Yi did not know when to back down, Lu Ming did not mind finding a chance to kill him. At this moment, more than a dozen people were watching this scene with their mouths agape. Lu Ming had defeated Miao Yi. Miao Yi was ranked 501 on the list of top 1,000 talents. Was Lu Ming in the top 500? Lu Ming's gaze was cold as he swept his gaze across the dozen of people. Among them, the young man who said he wanted to see how Lu Ming would cry turned pale. Lu Ming took a step forward and suddenly appeared in front of the young man. You said you wanted to see how I would cry. What do you think? Do you like it? Lu Ming asked indifferently. That, brother, I was blind. I didn't know you were so powerful. Ha ha. The young man was drenched in cold sweat as he spoke incoherently. Scram! Lu Ming coldly shouted. The young man's expression turned ugly, but he didn't dare to refute at all. He turned around and flew away obediently. Lu Ming continued to descend on the stone pillar and began to comprehend. Half a day later, Lu Ming got up and left. He had already stayed here for 7 days, which was enough. He wanted to find the next imprint. Only when multiple imprints corroborated with each other could inspiration be stimulated and create even more brilliant sparks. A few hours later, Lu Ming appeared in another place. It was a small valley, and there was also an imprint inside. This mark contained the concept of fire. Lu Ming began to comprehend quietly. At this moment, 2 groups of people were searching for Lu Ming in the 100 Supremes Mountain. On one side was Shangguan Jinjue. He had brought several young experts from the Shangguan clan to search for Lu Ming. Those young experts were all at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Although they weren't geniuses, it wasn't easy for them to cultivate to this level before the age of 30. Their battle strength was considered high among those at the same level. On the other side was Miao Yi. After he returned to the Miao clan, he also found a few experts to enter the 100 Supremes Mountain to search for Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't know anything about this. He stayed in the valley for 3 days and left again. He found a secret place and entered the Temple of Supremes. After this period of time, he had comprehended the 2 concepts of wind and fire. Now, he needed to use the profound crystals to increase his cultivation speed. Sitting cross-legged by the path-understanding ancient tree, Shi Yan crushed a wind profound crystal and began to cultivate. Now, he still had more than 10 mid-grade profound meaning crystals. Lu Ming crushed them one by one. His wind concept improved rapidly. Now that Lu Ming's wind concept had reached level 2, the rate of consumption of the esoteric crystals increased tremendously. In less than a day, more than 10 esoteric crystals of the wind attribute were used up. Then, Lu Ming used the low-grade profound crystals to cultivate. Lu Ming's consumption of low-grade profound crystals was much faster. He smashed dozens of them one by one. 3 days later, Lu Ming had consumed more than 10,000 low-grade profound crystals. His wind wills had finally reached the peak of the 2nd level. He was only 1 step away from the 2nd level. However, he was stuck at this step. It wasn't something that could be broken through with the profound crystals. He could only rely on himself to comprehend it, putting the wind wills aside for now. Lu Ming took out the fire profound crystals and started cultivating. 3 days later, the fire profound crystals were all used up. At the same time, Lu Ming had consumed a large amount of low-grade profound crystals. His fire wills had also reached the peak of the 2nd level, but he had also reached a bottleneck. Let's go out and find a mark to comprehend. Lu Ming left the Temple of Paragon and searched for a suitable mark in the 100 Sovereigns Mountain. In the following days, Lu Ming would refine the earth profound crystals whenever he had time. He would find a suitable mark and comprehend it on the spot. Every few days, he would change his position. The 100 Sovereigns Mountain was filled with mountains and peaks. It wasn't easy to find a person. During this time, Shangguan Jinjue and Miao Yi had been searching for him, but they hadn't found him. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Lu Ming had been in the 100 Sovereigns Mountain for a month now. There was still 1 year and 2 months until the War of Luck. What dense spiritual energy! Looking at the pool in front of him, Lu Ming was a little shocked. He had been searching for a mark left behind by a supremacy in a barren mountain. After passing through a hidden gap in the cliff, he actually saw a pool that was completely formed by spiritual energy. The spiritual energy in the pool had turned into liquid. Lu Ming felt that the spiritual energy in the pool was comparable to a high-grade spiritual crystal. I can cultivate here and break through to the second level of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming smiled. During this time, although his wind and fire wills were still at the peak of the second level, his earth wills had also reached the peak of the second level through the earth profound crystals. Only his thunder wills were slower, reaching the late stage of the second level. Now, breaking through to the second level of the spiritual sea realm wasn't a problem at all. Plop! Lu Ming jumped into the pool, and the 9 dragons' bloodline appeared. He opened his mouth and inhaled. The dense spiritual energy of heaven and earth surged towards the 9 dragons' bloodline. It was as if Lu Ming was exploding countless spiritual crystals to cultivate. Lu Ming circulated the true dragon battle art and refined it into true origin. Walala! In the spiritual sea, true origin was like a wave that kept rolling. As the spiritual energy was continuously converted into true origin, the true origin kept getting stronger. 3 days later, the spiritual energy of heaven and earth in the entire pool was completely devoured and refined by Lu Ming. Rumble! In his dantian, the sound of waves crashing against the shore could be heard. Waves of terrifying aura spread out from Lu Ming's body. After a while, Lu Ming opened his eyes. Second level of the spiritual sea realm. Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. Wills are still in the middle stage. As long as all 4 wills reach the lower stage of the second level and have enough spiritual crystals or origin stones, I can break through to the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm, or even the 4th level in one go. Chapter 782. A day later, Lu Ming appeared on top of a mountain peak. There was actually a huge spear on this mountain peak. The spear was dark red and emitted a blazing flame aura. There were at least 100 figures sitting around the spear. These people all cultivated the concept of fire. Lu Ming asked the person next to him. It was said that this long spear was a weapon used by a peak spirit god in the past. The long spear was scrapped after a great battle. That powerful cultivator then stuck the scrapped long spear upside down here. But this spear still contained the concept of fire that expert had comprehended. It hadn't dissipated even after 1,000 years. It could be said that this was a holy land for cultivating the concept of fire. Lu Ming looked around for a while, then chose a place and sat down. But he didn't notice that not far from Lu Ming, there was a youth carefully sizing him up. His eyes flickered. In this period of time, Shangguan Jinjue and Miao Yi have been looking for a youth. A few days ago, Shangguan Jinjue came here. According to their description, this person is very similar. I'll pass this information to Shangguan Jinjue and Miao Yi. They'll probably get a lot of rewards. The youth sneered. He took out a sound transmission jade talisman and sent out 2 messages. On top of a mountain peak, Shangguan Jinjue stood with his hands behind his back. Suddenly, his expression changed, and a jade talisman appeared in his hand. He scanned it with his mind and sneered. "Kid, I finally found you. Let's go." His figure flashed and disappeared. In the sky above a mountain range, Miao Yi was flying with a few people. Suddenly, a sound transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. After scanning it with his mind, a sinister expression appeared on his face. "Kid, I found you. You dared to offend me. Let's see how you die." Immediately, Miao Yi led a few people in the direction of Lu Ming. Lu Ming quietly comprehended. The owner of this spear was extremely powerful. His comprehension of the concept of fire had also reached a shocking level. It was a great inspiration to Lu Ming. Lu Ming felt that his concept of fire could break through the bottleneck at any time and enter the second level of the concept of fire. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had been cultivating here for an entire day. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a terrifying killing intent. A sharp sword chi was stabbing towards him. Without the slightest hesitation, Lu Ming's figure flickered and moved several meters to the side. Puchi, a sharp sword chi, struck the place where Lu Ming had been sitting cross-legged, creating a bottomless hole. The others nearby were also shocked. They all stopped their cultivation and appeared in the air. Although they were comprehending the concept of fire here, every single one of them had separated a portion of their attention to observe their surroundings. After all, they had to be on guard against others. Lu Ming moved a few meters to the side. His figure flashed and appeared in the air. His cold gaze swept over in a certain direction. It was a tall young man in a starry robe with an extraordinary bearing. Behind him were 3 young men around the age of 28 or 29, and all of them wore starry robes. "Who are you? Why did you sneak attack me?" Lu Ming asked. He didn't know any of these people, but they wanted to kill him. Before the young man in the starry robe could speak, exclamations could be heard from the surroundings. "It's him, Shangguan Jinjue. He's here again. He came here a few days ago. Could it be that he's here to find this person? It can't be wrong. Who is this person? He actually offended the Shangguan clan and made Shangguan Jinjue search for him." The words of the surrounding people made Lu Ming understand. They were probably here for Shangguan Wuchen and the others. "Why? You dared to injure a direct descendant of the Shangguan clan. You deserve to die. Now, I'm here to take your head back." Shangguan Jinjue's eyes flashed with starry light as he spoke in a domineering manner. "Take my head? Ha ha ha, I've already been merciful to those guys. In your eyes, it's a death sentence. Well, it seems that if I don't show some thunderous means, everyone will think that I'm easy to bully." A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. After he came to 9 Dragons City, his means were much gentler. It was mainly because he was new here, and this place was full of great forces and great clans. His strength was too weak, so he planned to keep a low profile and endure, using the cultivation resources of 9 Dragons City to quickly increase his strength. But now, he realized that enduring wasn't a solution. The more you endure, and the gentler your means, the more others would bully you. "Haha, ridiculous. Who do you think you are? You dare to compare yourself with a direct descendant of the Shangguan clan? Kill him." Shangguan Jinjue waved his hand, and 3 young men behind him strode out, their bodies emitting bright, starry light. The bloodlines awakened by the Shangguan clan's disciples were all related to stars. There were all kinds of stars. All kinds of stars appeared above the heads of the 3 young men. There was a battle blade star, a giant sword star, and a flying bird star. "Kill!" With a loud shout, the 3 young men strode out. Dazzling starry light condensed into battle blades, giant swords, and flying birds charging towards Lu Ming. The 3 young men were all experts in the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm. "If you want to kill me, then you have to be prepared to be killed by me. Kill!" Lu Ming roared, and the true yuan in his body exploded, creating a sound like a tsunami. His palm struck out like a heavenly monument. Pung! A starry battle blade shattered, and that young man's chest caved in. With a scream, he was blasted to the ground, dying on the spot. "Who?" Immediately after, Lu Ming twisted his body and swept out a leg. This leg was also propelled by the suppressing Hell Heaven skill. The giant sword shattered, and that young man's body exploded. 2 moves killed 2 people consecutively, with the momentum of thunder. The remaining young man turned pale, with fright. He used all his strength to counterattack retreating madly. Extreme Tao strike. A spear light flashed by, and a big hole appeared between the young man's eyebrows. His eyes were wide open, full of unwillingness. CSI. Gasps could be heard from all around. 3 experts in the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm were killed by Lu Ming in 3 moves. This was too terrifying. Most importantly, Lu Ming was decisive and didn't show any mercy. Shangguan Jinjue's pupils also constricted. Lu Ming's battle prowess was beyond his imagination. I said before, if you want to kill me, then you have to be prepared to be killed by me. Now it's your turn. Lu Ming's gaze looked towards Shangguan Jinjue. Your battle prowess is not bad, exceeding my expectations. That's good. Killing like this will be more enjoyable. Cruelty flashed in Shangguan Jinjue's eyes, and a fierce star power spread out from his body. Ayo! Above Shangguan Jinjue's head, a giant star wolf howled at the sky, revealing its ferocity. This was the greedy wolf star, an extremely powerful star in the legends. Sky Wolf Slash. A battle blade appeared in Shangguan Jinjue's hand, and with a slash, the wolf howled, and the sky was filled with starlight. Without a doubt, Shangguan Jinjue also comprehended the concept of stars. Pung. Lu Ming took a step forward and struck out with a palm. The palm collided with the blade light, and a violent explosion sounded. Chapter 783. Shangguan Jinjue was at the peak of the 3rd LV of the spiritual sea realm. Shangguan Jinjue's martial arts technique was obviously at the demigod level. Shangguan Jinjue ranked 465th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Boom. After the two separated, they started fighting again. Sky Wolf Slash, slash all lives. Shangguan Jinjue was bathed in the light of the stars. He looked like a god who had descended to earth. He slashed out with his saber, and the sky wolf howled at the moon. If they were at the same level, Shangguan Jinjue's combat strength would be higher than Miao Yi's. Every 100 people on the list of top 1,000 talents represented a leap in strength. Shangguan Jinjue ranked in the top 500, and his combat strength was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming activated the hell-suppressing skill, and the genuine core power in his body burst out. Every palm and punch contained the power of hell. He fought fiercely with Shangguan Jinjue. The violent energy swept out in all directions, causing the spectators to retreat frantically. Some of the energy blasted toward the mountain peak, but the long spear on the peak emitted a red light. The energy blasted away like stones sinking into the sea, and did not cause the slightest movement. So powerful. Is this the combat strength of the top 500 on the list of top 1,000 talents? It's terrifying. Yes, the top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents is a hurdle. Who is that? He can actually fight with Shangguan Jinjue. Exclamations came from all around. Most importantly, Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 2nd LV of the spiritual sea realm. It was terrifying for him to be so powerful. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. Is this the combat strength of the top 500 on the list of top 1,000 talents? He's indeed powerful, but this is the end. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly waved his palm. Four kinds of light flashed out. Lu Ming's palm contained 4 kinds of artistic conception. Previously, Lu Ming had only released 3 kinds of artistic conception. The earth essence. He also wanted to test the strength of the top 500 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents. Now that he had tested them out, it was time to end the battle. Bang! Shangguan Jinjue's saber light shattered. Shangguan Jinjue looked horrified. He frantically retreated and blocked with his saber. Clang! Lu Ming's palm slammed into Shangguan Jinjue's battle saber. It was as if an ancient divine mountain had slammed into Shangguan Jinjue. Shangguan Jinjue's body trembled violently as he spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated madly. How is that possible? You were still holding back. Shangguan Jinju roared in disbelief. Lu Ming was only in the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier, and when he fought with him, just now, he actually held back his strength. As proud as he was, it was simply unbearable. I don't need to use my full strength to deal with you. Lu Ming strode forward and struck out with his palm. Shangguan Jinjue let out a long howl. Astral light filled the air, and the howl of a wolf shook the heavens. He wanted to counterattack, but Lu Ming's four concepts were too powerful. Even though Shangguan Jinjue's concept of stars had already reached the second level of large success, he still couldn't withstand a single blow from Lu Ming. Bang! Shangguan Jinjue's body was sent flying. A large hole appeared in his chest, and his bones were shattered. He coughed out large mouthfuls of blood, and his eyes were filled with terror. Stop! You win this battle. Let's fight another day. Shangguan Jinjue roared and retreated rapidly, wanting to leave. Laughable! Who wants to fight another day with you? Coming and going as you please? What do you take me for? Since you're here today, don't leave. Lu Ming used the 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps and moved forward rapidly, his eyes cold. You want to kill me? You have to understand that if you kill me, you'll have to wait for my Shangguan clan's crazy revenge. Shangguan Jinjue said coldly, actually threatening him. That's my business. You don't have to worry about it. Lu Ming's eyes were calm, unmoved. Today, he was determined to kill Shangguan Jinjue. These disciples of great clans were all the same. Today, Lu Ming killed 3 Shangguan clan youths and defeated Shangguan Jinjue in front of everyone. Even if he let Shangguan Jinjue go, he would still take revenge, so it was better to just kill him. Seeing this, Shangguan Jinjue was truly afraid now. He understood that he had encountered a ruthless person. Run, run, run! Shangguan Jinjue frantically ran away. But how fast was Lu Ming's 9 dragons' heaven-stomping steps? After a few steps, he caught up with Shangguan Jinjue and continued to press down on him. Shangguan Jinjue roared and resisted with all his might. In the next moment, one of his arms was shattered. Die! Lu Ming's palm struck towards Shangguan Jinjue's head. Miao Yi brought a few youths and rushed towards Lu Ming's direction. We're almost there. This time, I'll put that brat between life and death. Miao Yi's eyes flashed with crazy killing intent. There's a big battle ahead. Suddenly, he heard a rumbling sound coming from ahead. Let's go and take a look. Miao Yi brought a few youths and increased his speed, flying forward. Not long after, he saw Shangguan Jinjue running away in fear, with a person chasing after him. That's Shangguan Jinjue and that brat. Miao Yi's pupils shrank rapidly. In the next moment, he saw Shangguan Jinjue screaming in pain. Lu Ming's palm struck down, without hesitation. Bang! Shangguan Jinjue's head exploded like a watermelon. Miao Yi's eyes almost popped out, and he almost bit his tongue. Shangguan Jinjue was killed by Lu Ming with a single palm strike. After killing Shangguan Jinjue with a single palm strike, Lu Ming reached out and sucked Shangguan Jinjue's storage ring away. He then devoured the blood essence and looked at Miao Yi coldly. You brought people to kill me too? Lu Ming's tone was cold and filled with killing intent. Miao Yi was shocked, and he felt cold sweat on his back. He hurriedly said, No, why would I? I was just passing by. Ha, brother's bravery, I admire you. Goodbye. Miao Yi cupped his fists, and an ugly smile appeared on his face. He turned around and left. What a joke, Shangguan Jinjue's battle prowess was much stronger than his, and he was a peerless genius of the Shangguan clan. Lu Ming even killed Shangguan Jinjue, so he probably wouldn't go easy on him. He was simply a ruthless person, and he didn't fear the power behind them. How could he still have the thought of killing Lu Ming? He only wanted to get as far away from Lu Ming as possible. Miao Yi left as if he was escaping. Lu Ming smiled, and he didn't chase after him. As expected, if you were a little more ruthless, others would be afraid of you. The other young experts in the surroundings were also shocked, and their emotions were extremely complicated. Shangguan Jinjue, a peerless genius of the Eastern Wilderness, died just like that. Right now, the battle of karmic luck hadn't even started, and there were already peerless geniuses dying one after another. When the battle of karmic luck officially started, how tragic would it be? At that time, how many geniuses would die? At that time, the strong would become stronger, and they would step on the corpses of the weak to reach the peak. Chapter 784. This time, there were 3 at the 5th layer of the spiritual sea realm and 1 at the 3rd layer of the spiritual sea realm. Their essence blood was even more majestic and pure. Similarly, they all rushed towards the suppressing prison monument's bloodline. This time, the refinement took an entire day's time. In the Shangguan clan, a terrifying aura and killing intent were emitted from a palace. What did you say? Jinjue was killed by that kid called Lu Ming? A deep roar rang out, filled with endless anger. The owner of the voice was Shangguan Wuchen, and Shangguan Wuling's father, the Shangguan clan's elder with real power, Shangguan Zhongyuan. Shangguan Wuchen, Shangguan Wuling, and a skinny man stood beside Shangguan Zhongyuan. Their faces were pale and cold sweat was dripping down. They knew that Shangguan Zhongyuan was infuriated, incomparably furious. Shangguan Jinjue was killed. In the entire Shangguan clan's younger generation, Shangguan Jinjue was ranked number 2. There was only one person stronger than Shangguan Jinjue. The Shangguan clan had high hopes for such a genius. In the future, he would definitely become the pillar of the Shangguan clan. Unfortunately, he died just like that. How could Shangguan Zhongyuan not be angry? Lu Ming, he must die. After a moment of silence, Shangguan Zhongyuan spat out a cold sentence. But, Father, there's someone guarding the 100 Supremes mountain. Those above the age of 30 can't enter. How can we kill that little bastard? Shangguan Wuchen said. Among the younger generation of the Shangguan clan, there was no one who could compete with Lu Ming except for one person. But that person was cultivating in a higher sacred ground and couldn't be disturbed. If they wanted to kill Lu Ming, they could only send an elder. But the elder couldn't enter the 100 Supremes mountain. Moreover, they didn't dare to openly send an elder to kill Lu Ming. They could only do it secretly. He can't stay in the 100 Supremes mountain forever. Wait for him to come out. Shangguan Zhongyuan's eyes were extremely cold as he continued. Send someone to monitor the 100 Supremes mountain. When that kid comes out, inform me immediately. Yes, the skinny man said. Lu Ming cultivated beside the long spear for an entire day before he managed to refine all the essence blood. However, his prison-suppressing steel bloodline still hadn't evolved. However, this time, Lu Ming had a feeling that he wasn't far from the god grade. That feeling was very strange. He could feel that the prison-suppressing steel was not far away from leveling up. Lu Ming looked expectant. Once the hell-suppressing steel was upgraded to the deity rank, his battle prowess would definitely increase greatly. Furthermore, it was said that there was an even more incredible way to utilize a god bloodline. It wasn't as simple as just a burst of strength, but a huge boost to one's battle prowess. Prodigies who had awakened god-level bloodline had another title, which was god-level prodigy. According to the records, the top 300 talents on the list of top 1,000 talents were all god-level talents. That was to say, the top 300 on the list of top 1,000 talents had all awakened the third bloodline, which was a divine-level bloodline. Without awakening a divine bloodline, there was no way he could compete with those prodigies. Lu Ming pondered for a moment, then let out a long breath and stood up. He planned to leave this place and find another place to cultivate. "Brother, may I know your name?" At this moment, a young man walked up to Lu Ming, cupped his fists, and smiled. Lu Ming frowned slightly. "Brother, I can see that your battle prowess is strong and you're a dragon among men, so I'd like to make friends with you. I'm Chu Zhongshuan." The young man continued. His eyes were very pure, and he didn't seem to have any ulterior motives. Lu Ming raised an eyebrow and said, "Chu Zhongshuan, ranked 586th on the list of top 1,000 talents." "Haha, my name is nothing compared to yours." Chu Zhongshuan laughed heartily. "I'm Lu Ming." Since Chu Zhongshuan was so forthright, Lu Ming wasn't a hypocrite and smiled. Could it be Lu Ming, the greatest king on the heavenly king list? Chu Zhongshuan's eyes flickered. If there's no other Lu Ming who also topped the heavenly king list, then it should be me. Lu Ming touched his nose and said, "No, Wonder Brother Lu's battle prowess is so strong. With your battle prowess, you should be able to pass the 100 Masters Tower and even get a token that leads to a higher cultivation sanctuary." Chu Zhongshuan sighed. 100 Masters Tower? A token that leads to a higher cultivation sanctuary? Lu Ming was puzzled. "It seems that Brother Lu doesn't know." Chu Zhongshuan was a little surprised. He immediately gave Lu Ming a simple explanation. There were many cultivation sanctuaries in 9 dragons, and the 100 Masters Mountain was just one of them. It was just an ordinary cultivation sanctuary. There were other cultivation sanctuaries that were more wonderful and had better effects than the 100 Masters Mountain. However, some of these sanctuaries required a lot of resources, so only a limited number of people could enter. Some sanctuaries were only open to those who ranked high on the list of top 1,000 talents. After all, resources were limited and could only be given to the stronger geniuses so that they could achieve better results in the Battle of Providence. It was said that the top 100 geniuses on the list of top 1,000 talents were personally sent to a secret place by Martial Emperor De to cultivate in seclusion and wait for the Battle of Providence. If one wanted to enter a higher cultivation holy land, apart from becoming one of the top geniuses in the world, there was another way, and that was to obtain the qualifications. In some ordinary cultivation sanctuaries, there would be some testing grounds. For example, the 100 Masters Tower in the 100 Masters Mountain. As long as one could pass the test, there was a chance that they could get a token that led to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Some geniuses who cultivated in the 100 Masters Mountain would often go to the 100 Masters Tower. I can't believe there's such a place. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. The 100 Masters Mountain was very effective for those with low cultivation. However, as one's cultivation increased, the effect would weaken. It would be better if one could cultivate in a more mysterious place. "Brother Lu, do you want to go? Why don't we go together? I was going to try it too." Chu Zhongshuan said. "All right, let's go together." Lu Ming said. Then, the two of them left. Chu Zhongshuan had been there before, so he was familiar with the place. He led Lu Ming in the direction of the 100 Masters Mountain. A few hours later, a tall tower appeared in front of them. It was a stone tower that took up a large area. It towered into the clouds. The two of them flew over and landed at the foot of the stone tower. There were a few other young men at the foot of the stone tower, and they all looked up. Lu Ming also looked up. The stone tower had a total of 10 floors. At that moment, the first 6 floors were shining brightly while the last 4 floors were pitch black. Along the way, Chu Zhongshuan explained the situation of the Hundred Masters Tower to Lu Ming. The Hundred Masters Tower did not test one's cultivation, but the will of heaven and earth. The Hundred Masters Tower had a total of 10 floors. As long as one could get to the 9th floor, they could get a token that led to a higher cultivation sanctuary. Every time one passed a floor, the Hundred Masters Tower would light up. At that moment, the first 6 floors were lit up, which meant that someone had reached the 6th floor. Right at this moment, the light on the 7th floor suddenly lit up. Luan Xiongfei has already reached the 7th floor. Can he reach the 8th floor? It's hard to say. However, the Luan family's will of 100 battles is indeed terrifying. Chapter 785. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The Luan family was one of the 6 ancient families. Luan Xiongfei, ranked 432 on the list of top 1,000 talents, was even more powerful than Shangguan Jinjue. Clearly, Luan Xiongfei had reached the 7th floor. Rumble! Just then, a loud explosion came from the sky, and a scorching aura spread toward Lu Ming and the others. Everyone turned their heads and saw a tall and sturdy figure rapidly flying over. His entire body was covered in purple flames, making him look like a purple sun. It's the Wang family's sky-burning flame skill. Someone exclaimed. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the man was close to the Hundred Masters Tower, but he had no intention of slowing down. His whole body was like a meteorite smashing toward them. Oh no, get out of the way! The others were shocked and quickly retreated. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and stood still. Haha, get out of my way! The man from the Wang family laughed and smashed down. Brother Lu, get out of the way! Chu Zhongshuan pulled Lu Ming aside and dodged. Boom! The people from the Wang family stomped heavily on the spot where Lu Ming had been standing earlier. The ground roared, gravel flew everywhere, and cracks appeared on the ground. Wang Kong, it's Wang Kong! Someone exclaimed. Wang Kong, ranked 430 on the list of top 1,000 talents, was 1 rank higher than Luan Xiongfei. Wang Kong landed on the ground and glanced at Lu Ming unkindly. He was a little unhappy that Lu Ming did not want to dodge just now. The Wang family, Lu Ming muttered. He thought of Kenfei Ryu. Kenfei Ryu should have arrived in Kowloon City. He wondered if he had gone to the Wang family. If there was a chance, he would ask the Wang family. Luan Xiongfei actually reached the 7th floor. It seems that the 100 battles intent has improved, but it won't be that easy to reach the 8th floor. Wang Kong chuckled. Sure enough, not long after, a ray of light flashed on the 7th floor, and a human figure was sent flying out. It was a burly young man. He was wearing armor and exuded a strong fighting spirit. Flying disorderly heroes, looks like you failed. Wang Kong sneered. Wang Kong, I failed. You might not be better than me. After saying this, Luan Xiongfei didn't stay any longer and flew away. After Luan Xiong flew out, the light of the 100 Heralds Tower was completely extinguished. This meant that there was no one inside. Wang Kong snorted and strode towards the first level of the 100 Masters Pagoda. Below the first floor of the 100 Masters Pagoda, there was a door made of light. After Wang Kong stepped into it, his figure disappeared. Brother Lu, let's give it a try too, Chu Zhongshuan said. The 100 Masters Pagoda could be entered by multiple people at the same time. Lu Ming nodded and stepped through the door of light with Chu Zhongshuan. At the same time, a few others also stepped through the door of light. As soon as Lu Ming entered the light door, he appeared on a platform the next moment. As soon as he entered this place, Lu Ming discovered that he couldn't circulate his true essence at all. Even his spiritual flame couldn't circulate. He could only erupt with the will of heaven and earth. Whoosh! a flaming warblade condensed and slashed towards Lu Ming. This flaming warblade was condensed from the will of fire. It was equivalent to the early stage of level 2 entry. With a thought, Lu Ming's will of fire erupted and condensed into a flaming long spear. He then stabbed it towards the flaming warblade. With a bang, the flaming warblade was destroyed. In front of the platform, a door made of light appeared. The first level is really easy. Lu Ming smiled and walked into the door of light. In the next moment, he appeared on another platform. At this moment, if one were to look from outside the 100 Masters Pagoda, they would see that 3 levels were lit up. This meant that someone had reached the 3rd level. This time, a flaming warblade was condensed on the platform. However, the will of fire contained within this flaming warblade had reached the peak of level 2 entry. It was equivalent to Lu Ming's will of fire. Lu Ming only used a will of fire to condense a long spear to clash with the flaming warblade. Clang! Clang! The long spear and the warblade constantly clashed, and the sound of metal clashing could be heard. Fighting purely with the will of fire. Not bad. This can train my will and make it stronger. Lu Ming thought as he focused on controlling the will of fire to fight with the flaming warblade. Lu Ming's will of fire was also at the peak of level 2 entry, which was equivalent to the flaming warblade. The two continued to clash. At this moment, 5 levels of the 100 Masters Pagoda had lit up. This meant that someone had reached the 5th level. What a fast speed. That should be Wong Kong. He has already reached the 5th level. I wonder if he can reach the 9th level. The 9th level is unlikely. Wan Xiongfei only reached the 7th level. I reckon that Wong Kong will most likely stop at the 7th level. Under the 100 Masters Pagoda, there were still a few people watching and discussing. Lu Ming unleashed his will of fire and clashed with the flaming warblade. After more than 100 rounds, Lu Ming felt that he had become more proficient in using the will of fire. His long spear danced in the air as he gained the upper hand. After a few moves, he defeated the flaming warblade. Although Lu Ming's will of fire had not broken through the bottleneck and reached level 2 entry, he felt that he was one step closer. After defeating the flaming warblade, another light door appeared in front of him. Lu Ming stepped in and appeared on the platform of the 3rd level in the next moment. This time, a dazzling golden battle sword appeared. It was condensed from the metal concept, and it had reached the 2nd level of the concept of lesser success. It seemed that the wills that appeared in the 100 Masters Pagoda were random. There was no fixed wills. Shoo! The golden warblade was extremely sharp as it pierced towards Lu Ming. Boom! At this moment, Lu Ming unleashed 2 wills. Wind and fire merged together and formed a long spear. In a few moves, it defeated the golden warblade. Lu Ming continued and entered the 4th level. On the 4th level, there was still a golden warblade. However, the will of metal had reached the peak of level 2 entry. Lu Ming fought with the wills of wind and fire. After a few dozen moves, he defeated the golden warblade and entered the 5th level. At this moment, there were already people who had failed and were ejected. The 7th level also lit up at this moment. Someone had reached the 7th level. Below the pagoda, the others looked up to see if the 8th level would light up. But after a while, the 7th level flashed and a figure flew out. It was Wong Kong. Damn it, I was so close to reaching the 8th level. Wong Kong roared. When Wong Kong came out, he saw that the 7th level's light had extinguished, but the lower 6 levels were still lit. In less than 2 minutes, the 6th level flashed, and a figure appeared. It was Chu Zhongshuan. He had reached the 6th level and was ejected. The 6th level's light was extinguished, but the lower 5 levels were still lit. There's still someone on the 5th level. Wang Kong looked at the 100 Masters Pagoda and did not leave. At this moment, Lu Ming was on the 5th level. A green ring appeared on the 5th level. It was formed by the will of wind and had reached level 2 entry. Lu Ming still only used the wills of wind and fire. He tried his best to resist, but he was completely at a disadvantage. Chapter 786. Lu Ming didn't want to achieve anything, but he wanted to avoid any mistakes. He focused his mind and unleashed his wind and fire intent to resist the attacks. Although Lu Ming's long spear, which was condensed by the concept of wind and fire, was buzzing and trembling with every attack, as if it would collapse at any time, Lu Ming blocked it every time. Lu Ming blocked the attacks while comprehending them. Outside the 100 Masters Pagoda, everyone was watching. What's going on? Who is it? Why did he stay on the 5th floor for so long? It's the person who came with Chu Zhongshuan. I don't know what his name is, but I reckon that he can only reach the 5th floor at most. That's why he was stuck there for so long. If you can't pass, come down quickly. There are still others who want to go in. Don't waste their time. At this moment, there were others who had just arrived, and they snorted. Boring. Wang Kong curled his lips in disdain. Just as he was about to leave, his eyes flickered. The others were also stunned. Because of this, the 6th floor of the 100 Masters Pagoda suddenly lit up. Lu Ming had reached the 6th floor. After enduring for so long, he finally reached the 6th floor. I reckon that the 6th floor is his limit. I bet that he will be ejected from the 6th floor in less than a minute, but before they could finish their words, they stopped abruptly, because the 7th floor suddenly lit up as well. It had only been a few breaths since the 6th floor lit up, and the 7th floor lit up. Below the 100 Masters Pagoda, those people couldn't help but open their mouths wide. Those who said that Lu Ming's limit was the 6th floor, and those who said that Lu Ming would be ejected in less than a minute blushed in shame. This slap to their faces was too fast. The 7th floor was already the highest floor that Wang Kong and Luan Xiongfei had reached. Now, another person had reached it. Interesting. Wang Kong moved back and stared at the 100 Masters Pagoda. The 7th floor stopped again. The 8th floor didn't light up, and no one came out. Inside the 100 Masters Pagoda, Lu Ming felt that he had trained enough on the 5th floor. Once again, he unleashed his lightning intent and fused the 3 intents, instantly destroying the green ring and entering the 6th floor. The 6th floor's intent was equivalent to the peak of 2nd grade minister. Lu Ming only took a few breaths to destroy it and reached the 7th floor. Therefore, the time when the 6th and 7th levels lit up was only a few breaths apart. The perfect 2nd grade intent appeared on the 7th floor. A lightning spear formed from lightning, and it pierced towards Lu Ming. It was fast and ruthless, instantly appearing in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming used his 3 intents to resist the lightning spear. This time, the battle lasted for more than 10 minutes. Haha, lightning's intentess. During the fierce battle with the lightning spear, Lu Ming was enlightened and cultivated his thunder concept to the peak of 2nd level entry level. The power of the fusion of the 3 concepts increased again, and it destroyed the lightning spear in one fell swoop. The 7th floor's Lu Ming stepped into the 8th floor through the light door. When Lu Ming stepped into the 8th level of the 100 Masters Pagoda lit up. Below the pagoda, the crowd couldn't help but widen their eyes. Lu Ming actually reached the 8th floor. Terrifying. This meant that Lu Ming's comprehension of intents had surpassed Luan Xiongfei and Wang Kong. Amazing, Lu Ming is really amazing. Chu Zhongshuan praised inwardly. Humph, intent doesn't represent everything. This person's intent isn't bad, but his battle strength isn't that strong. Wong Kong snorted. The crowd didn't say anything. They knew that Wong Kong was unhappy that someone had surpassed him. They only raised their heads and looked at the 100 Masters Pagoda. Would he be able to reach the 9th floor? They couldn't help but look forward to it. The 8th floor's intent was the peak of second-grade perfect. Lu Ming's 3 intents weren't a match for it. Therefore, Lu Ming unleashed the Earth Intent. Once the Earth Intent was unleashed, the 4 intents fused and crushed the opponent. Lu Ming reached the 9th floor. The 9th floor lit up. Someone has reached the 9th floor. Amazing, amazing. As long as he performs well on the 9th floor, he might be able to get a token that leads to a higher cultivation ground. The 9th floor is extremely difficult to pass. The better his performance, the more likely he is to get a token. Below the pagoda, the crowd widened their eyes and stared at the top of the pagoda, the 9th floor. They wanted to see when someone would be ejected out. The 9th floor's intent didn't reach the 3rd level. If it did, there would be no need to compete. A 3rd level intent could completely crush a 2nd level intent. 9 battle swords appeared on the 9th floor. Blue, red, gold. They were actually 9 common intents. Each of them formed a battle sword and pierced towards Lu Ming. The 9 swords vaguely formed a sword formation. Boom. The 4 types of intents merged and formed a dazzling battle suit of 4 colors on Lu Ming's body. It covered his entire body, including his face. At the same time, a long spear was unhindered and had terrifying power. Lu Ming realized that the intents that appeared in the 100-house pagoda were the 9 common intents. Therefore, those who cultivated special intents would have an advantage here, because special intents were more powerful and mysterious. Just like the Earth Intent, it was the strongest among Lu Ming's 4 intents. When it fused with the other 3 intents, its power was also the most terrifying. Pung, pung, pung. The sound of collisions continued to resound. After a few dozen moves, pung. A battle sword formed by the mountain intent was first defeated by Lu Ming. After the first battle sword was defeated, the remaining 8 intents were much weaker. Subsequently, one battle sword after another was defeated by Lu Ming. Soon, all 9 battle swords were defeated by Lu Ming. A light door appeared in front of the platform. Is that the entrance to the 10th floor? Lu Ming muttered. According to Chu Zhongshuan, it was difficult for ordinary people to pass the 9th floor. It would be considered good if they could pass the 9th floor and even last for a period of time. On the 9th floor, 9 common intents fused into 9 battle swords to form a sword array. Moreover, they were all at the peak of the 2nd level. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to pass at all. Only Lu Ming, who had fused 4 intents and the powerful Earth Intent, could pass the 9th floor. Then, what would the 10th floor have? Lu Ming stepped forward and entered the light door. Outside the pagoda, when Lu Ming stepped into the light door leading to the 10th floor, the light on the 9th floor suddenly extinguished. The entire 100-house pagoda's light was extinguished. The light is extinguished. That person has failed. They didn't know Lu Ming's name. Something's not right. Why hasn't he come out yet? Normally, he would be ejected after failing. Could he have died in there? Probably not. I've never heard of anyone dying in the 100-house pagoda. Wait. However, an hour passed in the blink of an eye, and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. 2 hours later, Lu Ming still hadn't come out. In the blink of an eye, a day had passed, and Lu Ming still hadn't come out. Chapter 787. What's going on? Chu Zhongshuan was also a little anxious, worried that something might have happened to Lu Ming. Chu Zhongshuan, this person came with you. Who is he? Wong Kong's gaze shifted to Chu Zhongshuan. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. He is Lu Ming. Chu Zhongshuan said after pondering for a while. It was just a name. There was nothing to hide. Lu Ming? Who is that? You don't even know Lu Ming? Seems like you have been in seclusion for too long. I heard that the first place of this year's Heavenly King ranking is Lu Ming. So it's him. Some of the people present had heard of Lu Ming's name, while others had not. Lu Ming, so it's him. Wang Kong's eyes were even sharper, as if there were flames burning in them. Of course, he had heard of Lu Ming's name. During the Heavenly King ranking battle, the Wang family had lost a few geniuses, all of whom were killed by Lu Ming. I'd like to see what's going on with this 100 tower. How many days can you stay in there? Wang Kong sneered as he appeared on a huge rock not far away and sat down cross-legged. In fact, Lu Ming was also a little surprised. When he stepped into the light door and appeared on the 10th floor, he realized that there were two old men sitting cross-legged on the 10th floor. The two old men were dressed in gray robes, and there was no aura on them, as if they were two ordinary old men. However, Lu Ming obviously did not think that they were ordinary old men. It was impossible for ordinary old men to appear here. The only possibility was that their cultivation was too profound, and he could not sense it at all. When Lu Ming appeared, the two old men's gazes landed on Lu Ming, and they were shocked. Interesting. You have actually comprehended 4 different intents, and have successfully fused all 4 intents. This is very rare, one of the old men said. It's not just rare. I have never seen anyone who can fuse 4 intents and cultivate to the 2nd level. I have seen someone who has fused 3 intents. Another old man also spoke. Junior Lu Ming greets the 2 seniors. Lu Ming cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. Not bad, little guy. One of them nodded. Senior, may I ask what the test of the 10th floor is? Lu Ming asked. Examination? No, you've already cleared all the levels. However, since you've reached the 10th level, the 2 of us old fellows can't do nothing. As the old man on the left spoke, his eyes suddenly lit up like 2 balls of fire. In the next moment, endless flames enveloped Lu Ming. Lu Ming was shocked, for different wills filled the air as he shouted at the same time, Senior, what do you mean? Brat, just use the concept of fire to resist. It'll be good for you, the old man said. Lu Ming's heart shuddered. These 2 old men were unfathomable. It would be easy for them to kill him. Why did they have to do this? Judging from the old man's tone, there seemed to be another reason. Immediately, Lu Ming withdrew the other 3 wills and only used the concept of fire to resist. When the flames controlled by the old man surrounded Lu Ming didn't feel the slightest bit of heat. Instead, he felt very comfortable. He felt as if he was bathing in the concept of fire. The various changes of the concept of fire appeared before his eyes. The concept of fire has such changes. Wonderful, truly wonderful. Why didn't I think of it? After a while, Lu Ming's eyes became brighter. He closed his eyes and comprehended. His perception was completely immersed in the concept of fire in the outside world, and his own concept of fire had various changes as he comprehended it. This brat has such a strong comprehension ability. The eyes of the old man on the left lit up, and he couldn't help but praise. Indeed, his comprehension ability is amazing to have comprehended it so quickly. However, it's not surprising to be able to successfully merge 4 different wills and cultivate to this level. Even if he had a fortuitous encounter, his comprehension ability is absolutely amazing. The old man on the right said, just like this, Lu Ming was immersed in cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. After 3 days, Lu Ming's concept of fire suddenly became violent and powerful. The concept of fire had finally broken through to level 2 initial success, breaking through the bottleneck in 3 days. Not bad, not bad. The old man on the left nodded and withdrew the concept of fire. Thank you, Senior, for helping me. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He knew that the old man intended to help him. Brat, don't be happy too early. There's more. The eyes of the old man on the right lit up. As soon as he opened his mouth, a fierce wind blew. Endless concept of wind enveloped Lu Ming. Concept of wind. Lu Ming was overjoyed and continued to cultivate. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days had passed. Lu Ming's concept of wind had also successfully broken through to level 2 initial success. Brat, the two of us have only mastered these 2 wills. Consider it your reward for passing the stage. The other wills are up to you to comprehend. The old man on the right withdrew the concept of wind and smiled. Thank you, 2 seniors. Lu Ming bowed and thanked them again. There's also this token. Take it. With your talent, you're fully qualified to cultivate in a higher holy land. A token appeared in the hands of the elder on the left, and he threw it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming caught it and was overjoyed. Wasn't this token the reason he came here? Now, he finally got it. Lu Ming bowed again to express his gratitude. Go. The old man on the right waved his hand. Immediately, a powerful force acted on Lu Ming's body. With a flash of light, Lu Ming discovered that he was already out of the 100 Masters pagoda. He appeared in midair outside the pagoda. At the same time, the true yuan in his body was no longer suppressed and could circulate freely. Lu Ming circulated his true yuan and landed on the ground. Lu Ming is out. As soon as Lu Ming appeared, someone exclaimed. Lu Ming actually stayed in the 100 Masters pagoda for 6 days, and then came out safe and sound. This was somewhat unbelievable. In the past, even if someone passed, they would only obtain a token. No one had stayed in there for 6 days. On a huge rock, not far away, Wong Kong opened his eyes. There were 2 balls of fire burning in his eyes. His body moved, and a blazing aura spread toward Lu Ming. He suddenly landed in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming, what did you experience in there? Speak. Wong Kong asked, his tone full of command. What did I experience in there? What does it have to do with you? Lu Ming frowned and glanced at Wong Kong. Lu Ming, what's with your attitude? If I say it has something to do with me, it has something to do with me. Also, did you obtain a token that leads to a higher holy land? Hand it over. Wong Kong reprimanded coldly. Idiot, get out of my way. You're blocking the way. Lu Ming was speechless. Who did Wong Kong think he was? Others might be afraid of him, but Lu Ming had never been afraid of anyone in his entire life. Lu Ming, don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're the top of the Heavenly King ranking and have a stronger intent realm. Let me tell you, the Heavenly King ranking is a joke in my eyes. Although you've passed the 100 Masters pagoda, your intent realm can't fully represent your combat strength. I advise you to hand over the token obediently before I take action. Chapter 788. The others watched quietly, knowing that Wong Kong was trying to snatch Lu Ming's token. It all depended on how Lu Ming would deal with it. Chu Zhongshuan wanted to speak up for Lu Ming, but the Wong family was too powerful. If he spoke up, he might get himself into trouble. He thought for a while and decided not to say anything. Get out of my way. A good dog doesn't block the way. Lu Ming had completely lost his patience. His face turned cold as he scolded coldly. You're courting death. Wong Kong's eyes were completely cold. His body emitted blazing flames, and the terrifying temperature distorted the space. Boom! He stepped out, his hand like a heavenly blade, and slashed at Lu Ming. Get out of my way. Lu Ming also struck out with his palm, activating the hell-suppressing heaven skill. Bang! Their palms collided with a buzzing sound. Lu Ming's body shook slightly, while Wong Kong took 2 steps back. Wherever his feet stepped, the rock was directly vaporized by the terrifying temperature, and 2 dark holes appeared. Let's fight in the air. Lu Ming rose into the air and appeared in the sky. Kill! Wong Kong's killing intent surged, and the temperature on his body became even more terrifying. The Wong family's sky-burning flame technique was activated to the extreme. At the same time, the pure purple heavenly fire bloodline burst out, making Wong Kong look like he was about to completely turn into a ball of fire. His aura was many times stronger than Wong Ju's when he was still a peak king. Wong Kong's cultivation was also at the peak of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Sky-burning flame, incineration cut. A saber appeared in Wong Kong's hand, which was also filled with terrifying flames. This is the evolution of the fire essence, the incineration essence. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Wong Kong's talent was indeed terrifying, as he ranked 430th on the list of top 1,000 talents. He had actually evolved the fire essence into the even more terrifying incineration essence. The essence of heaven and earth was not unchanging. It did not mean that the fire essence would be the fire essence just because you comprehended it. Some geniuses with terrifying talent could evolve on the basis of this kind of concept, evolving into an even more terrifying concept. As for what kind of intent realm they could evolve into, it was different for everyone. It would depend on themselves. For example, the 9 great concepts seemed to be the weakest, but they also had the most limitless possibilities. For example, the concept of fire could evolve into countless other concepts related to fire. Many of them were extremely powerful, far surpassing the concept of fire itself. The concept of incineration was one of the evolutions of the concept of fire. Whoosh! A terrifying saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's body emitted 4 different wills, which merged with the Genu Heaven skill. He slashed out a palm towards Wong Kong. Boom! In the sky, there was a terrifying explosion. The clouds were torn apart, and 5 different colors of light filled the entire sky. This time, Lu Ming's figure only swayed a little, but Wong Kong retreated 9 steps consecutively with a loud thud. How is this possible? Wong Kong's eyes were filled with shock. He had already unleashed his full strength, but he was still pushed back by Lu Ming's palm. He simply couldn't believe it. He was the genius of the Wong family. The Wong family cultivated the Raging Flames sky-burning art, which was a deity-level cultivation technique. In addition, his intent had evolved and comprehended the concept of incineration. Moreover, his bloodline martial technique was also extremely powerful and was also a demigod martial technique. It could be said that he had no shortcomings. In a battle of the same level, except for a limited number of monstrous geniuses or deity-level geniuses who had awakened a deity-level bloodline, he feared no one. However, right now, Lu Ming had actually skipped levels and defeated him. When had he ever been pushed back by someone with a higher level? Damn it! Wong Kong roared, and the flames on his body roared as if they were going to burn the world. Is there any use in yelling? Lu Ming took a step forward and slashed at Wong Kong with his palm. Boom! The 2 exchanged blows, and Wong Kong retreated again. To be honest, Wong Kong was very strong. He was much stronger than Shangguan Jinjue. When Shangguan Jinjue faced Lu Ming, he was completely suppressed and killed in a few moves. As for Wong Kong, he could still block, although he was completely at a disadvantage. Bang! 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 After more than 10 moves, Wong Kong was completely suppressed. No matter how much he roared, it was useless. Bang! In the end, Wang Kong was sent flying over 1,000 meters by Lu Ming's palm, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "Lu Ming, just you wait." Wang Kong roared and turned to leave, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Lu Ming did not chase after him. Wang Kong was very strong, extremely strong. If he wanted to leave, Lu Ming would not be able to kill him unless he used the inscription Dao and cooperated with him. The surrounding people looked at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming had actually defeated Wang Kong, and it was a battle of a higher level. It was really terrifying. Brother Lu is really powerful. I admire you. Chu Zhongshuan walked over and said, still with a look of amazement on his face, "You're welcome, Brother Chu. I need to find a place to cultivate in seclusion. I'll take my leave now." Lu Ming cupped his fists and then stepped into the air and left. Some of the people left behind were full of doubts. They were guessing whether Lu Ming had obtained a token that led to a higher cultivation sacred ground. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Lu Ming landed on a mountain peak and then entered the Temple of Paragon. 5 or 6 storage rings appeared in his hand. These storage rings were obtained from the enemies he had killed, such as Shangguan Jinjue and the others. They were all above the spiritual sea realm, and there were even some at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm and Shangguan Jinjue. There were many things inside, not to mention other things. Just the top-grade spiritual crystals added up to 800 million. There were even dozens of mid-grade profound crystals, but there were all kinds of them. There were also many martial skills, spiritual weapons, and elixirs. It was a pity that there were no origin stones, but Lu Ming was satisfied. Now, his 4 intents had all reached the peak of the 2nd level, and even his wind and fire intents had reached the 2nd level. He could continue to devour spiritual crystals to increase his cultivation. However, 800 million spiritual crystals wouldn't increase his cultivation by much. Lu Ming had consumed more than 800 million spiritual crystals in the process of breaking through to the spiritual sea realm from the Martial King realm. Moreover, he had cultivated the super spiritual sea. If Lu Ming wanted to increase his cultivation now, he would need to consume even more energy. Bang, bang, bang. Piles of top-grade spiritual crystals were devoured, and Lu Ming started to refine them crazily. 100 million, 200 million. Not long after, Lu Ming had refined 600 million of the 800 million spiritual crystals. Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. If he wanted to break through to the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm, the remaining 200 million spiritual crystals weren't enough. Lu Ming didn't continue to devour them. However, reaching the peak of the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm also increased Lu Ming's true origin by a lot. In his spiritual sea, true origin was surging. At this moment, a spiritual medicine appeared in Lu Ming's hand. It was a 6th level spiritual medicine. For a long time, Lu Ming hadn't cultivated his physical body. Now, it was time for him to cultivate properly. Using the 10,000 spirit battle body, he started to refine the spiritual medicine and cultivate his physical body. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Lu Ming had refined more than 26th level spiritual medicine, and his physical body had reached the peak of the 7th level. Chapter 789. After a few days of cultivation, Lu Ming's strength had improved a little. He ended his seclusion and continued to look for seals to comprehend the essence. Half a day later, Lu Ming sat cross-legged beside a huge stone axe and quietly comprehended. The essence that this stone axe exuded was the earth essence. There were not many people who could comprehend the earth essence. Including Lu Ming, there were only 5 people around the stone axe. The head of the dragon vein was the center of the dragon vein. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth was so dense that it turned into mist and drifted between heaven and earth. There was even an essence of heaven and earth permeating between heaven and earth. Obviously, there was a Tao eye in the dragon vein that could allow one to comprehend the essence of heaven and earth. The Wang family of the 6 ancient aristocratic families was located here. In a courtyard of the Wang family, Wang Kong stood beside a slender young man wearing a cloud pattern. There was no arrogance on his face. Instead, there was awe and fear. Wang Kong, do you mean that the person called Lu Ming might have obtained a token that leads to a higher cultivation, sacred ground? The young man asked. His voice was not loud, but it was full of authority. Brother Haotian, yes. Lu Ming reached the 9th floor and stayed there for 6 days. It's very likely that he got a token. Wang Kong answered honestly. Oh, that's very likely. I must get that token. I want to enter the blood pool with it and condense the 3rd bloodline. Wang Kong, go get it for me. The young man's eyes lit up. The young man was Wang Haotian, ranked 356th on the list of top 1,000 talents. Although he was only a few dozen places higher than Wang Kong, they were not in the same league. Those in the top 300 were called God-level geniuses. Wang Haotian was in the top 400, close to the top 300. He was a quasi-God-level genius who was about to awaken the 3rd bloodline. Once he awakened the 3rd bloodline, and it was a God-level bloodline, he would be a God-level genius. Unfortunately, although Wang Haotian reached the 9th floor of the 100 Masters Tower, he did not get a token to go to a higher cultivation, holy land. Wang Kong knew that Wang Haotian wanted to get a token to go to a higher cultivation, holy land, the blood pool, to accumulate bloodline power and condense the God-level bloodline. Therefore, when he knew that Lu Ming might have a token, he had to get it. Wang Kong's expression changed slightly. Brother Haotian, that Lu Ming's combat strength is very strong. I couldn't defeat him last time. Hee, so that's the case. No wonder you came looking for me. No matter, as long as you mention my name, I don't think he would dare to refuse. Go. Wang Haotian waved his hand. Okay. Wang Kong nodded and left. Lu Ming stood beside the stone axe. This enlightenment took him 5 days. Lu Ming had gained a lot. He felt that the Earth concept could break through to level 2 initial success at any time. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly turned his head and looked in one direction. Wang Kong. Wang Kong said coldly, Why? Are you looking for trouble again? Lu Ming smiled faintly. As soon as these words were spoken, the other 4 people beside Shi Fu revealed a trace of shock. Could it be that Wang Kong was really defeated by this young man before them? Wang Kong's face darkened. I'm not the one looking for you this time. Wang Haotian. You should have heard of him, right? The quasi-God-level prodigy, Wang Haotian, ranked 356th, Lu Ming was surprised. That's right. He asked me to take the token from you. Hand it over. Wang Kong said coldly, his tone revealing a hint of threat. Ha ha ha. At this moment, Lu Ming suddenly burst into laughter. What are you laughing at? Wang Kong's face darkened. I'm laughing at your Wang family. You're one of the 6 ancient families. What a disgrace. You don't have the ability to get it, but you want to get it from others. Who does Wang Haotian think he is? If he wants it, ask him to come and get it himself. Lu Ming laughed. His tone was full of disdain. Lu Ming, how dare you insult my Wang family? No one can save you. Wang Kong roared. You want to try? Lu Ming's eyes were as sharp as a blade. He exuded a powerful aura and took a step forward. Boom! Heaven and earth roared. Lu Ming's body exuded a powerful aura. Wang Kong's face changed drastically. He retreated quickly and shouted, Lu Ming, just you wait. After saying that, he left quickly. Coward! Lu Ming shook his head and continued to sit cross-legged beside the stone axe. However, just as he sat down, Lu Ming's expression changed. A voice transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. He scanned it with his mind, and his face changed slightly. It was a message from Qiao Xian. She seemed to be quite anxious. She had something urgent to tell Lu Ming and asked Lu Ming to meet her at a place. Lu Ming furrowed his brows and stopped cultivating. He flew towards the address that Qiao Xian left behind. A few hours later, Lu Ming met Qiao Xian. Lu Ming, something happened to Fatty and Ting Ting. Qiao Xian said anxiously as soon as she saw Lu Ming. What? What happened? Lu Ming's face changed. It's like this. Immediately, Qiao Xian told him what she had learned. It turned out that Kong Jin had been cultivating with Wan Tingting after entering the 100 Supremes Mountain. Everyone knew what Kong Jin was thinking. However, no one had expected that Wan Tingting had obtained a great opportunity. She had obtained the inheritance of a peerless expert from a seal. That inheritance was a deity-level cultivation technique. This time, many people were shocked. The geniuses of the Wan family were nearby. They immediately forced Wan Tingting to hand over the deity-level cultivation technique. Wan Tingting refused, so the Wan family took action. This time, the genius from the Wan clan was defeated by Kong Jin at the beginning. However, the Wan clan sent out even more people. Kong Jin wasn't a match for them. He fled with Wan Tingting. Now, they were trapped in a cave. Tingting and Fatty didn't send us any news. They must be afraid of getting us involved. I only heard about it because this matter was getting out of hand. Now, Fatty and the others are in danger. So I thought of you. Qiao Xian said, Damn the Wan family. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The Wan family and the Wang family were jackals of the same tribe. They thought they were superior and could take other people's things as they wished. Lu Ming, I also heard that Tingting's inheritance is deep in her soul. Once it is leaked, her soul will explode, and she will die. Qiao Xian said anxiously, Do you know where they are trapped? Bring me there. Lu Ming's eyes flickered with a cold light. They are at a place marked by a seal. It's quite far from here. Let's go. Lu Ming and Qiao Xian immediately flew into the sky and disappeared. Huff, 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 Kong Jin panted heavily. His entire body was covered in blood. It was all his own blood. He held his battle axe and blocked the entrance of a cave. Wan Tingting was inside the cave. Chapter 790. It was also because of this cave that Kong Jin was able to fend off the Wan family's attack. This time, the Wan family had sent out 3 geniuses. Out of the 3 geniuses, 2 of them were ranked in the top 500. One of them was ranked 420, and his combat strength was extremely strong. In addition, there were 8 young experts in the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Although Fatty had successfully broken through to the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm, he was still no match for them. If it weren't for the fact that the cave was narrow and could only allow one person to attack at a time, Fatty wouldn't have been able to fend them off. He had been fending them off for 2 days and 2 nights. The Wan family had taken turns attacking him, and his injuries were getting worse. However, he couldn't fall. He couldn't fall for Tingting. Outside the cave, the geniuses of the Wan family surrounded the cave with cold gazes. Lu Ming had seen one of them before. It was Wan Xiongfei, ranked 432 on the list of top 1,000 talents. The other one was Wan Tianhao, ranked 420. Fatty, I advise you not to put up any unnecessary resistance. Otherwise, you'll suffer. Wan Xiongfei said coldly, I've already said that when I receive the inheritance, there was a restriction in it. Once I do, my soul will explode. Even if you want it, I can't give it to you. Wan Tingting's voice came from the cave. Hee, of course we know that. However, as long as you follow us back to the Wan family, we'll naturally have a way to extract the inheritance from your soul. Wan Xiongfei sneered. Do you think I'm an idiot? If you extract the inheritance from your soul, you'll lose your soul if you're not careful. No matter how lucky you are, you'll end up as a retard. Kong Jin shouted angrily. That'll depend on her luck. Wan Xiongfei sneered. How precious is a divine level cultivation technique? How can you control it? Just follow us back to the Wan family obediently. Wan Tianhao said coldly, Don't even think about it. Come and fight me if you dare. I'll chop you in half with my axe. Kong Jin roared like an injured beast. His ferocious aura permeated the air. Not far from the cave, many people were watching. However, no one stepped forward to say a word. What a joke! Who would dare to interfere in the matters of one of the ancient aristocratic families, the Wan family, being targeted by an ancient aristocratic family? One could only admit that they were unlucky. You're courting death. Chaotic Flight's killing intent exploded. This damn fatty was even more difficult to deal with than they had imagined. He had actually blocked the entrance of the cave. It had already been 2 days. They had taken turns to attack, but they still couldn't break through the fatty's defense. If not for the fact that they were in a cave, the fatty would not have been able to withstand more than a few of their blows given his injuries. Fatty, forget it. Just hand me over to them. Wan Tingting's eyes welled up with tears as she looked at the fatty's body that was covered in blood. She didn't want to go to the Wan clan. She couldn't accept it. She hadn't avenged her parents yet, but the ancient families were too powerful. What could she do? Don't say any more. That's impossible, unless I die. Kong Jin's tone was resolute. Wan Tingting sighed. At this moment, she really hated her own incompetence. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Wan Xiongfei strode forward and rushed into the cave. Come. The fatty grinned. His eyes were fierce as he raised his battle axe and started to fight with Wan Xiongfei. Boom, boom. Terrifying energy shot out in all directions, but there was a mark on the walls of the cave. All the energy that shot out was like a stone sinking into the ocean. The two exchanged more than 100 blows before Wan Xiongfei retreated with a gloomy expression. This fatty's battle power was ridiculously strong. His endurance was also ridiculously high. Wan Xiongfei couldn't break through his heavily injured body. Ha! Wan Xiongfei, Wan Tianhao, you guys can't even deal with a heavily injured person. How about this? Leave this to the Jiang clan. At this moment, there was a loud laugh. More than 10 figures appeared in the air. Wan Tianhao's expression changed when he saw who it was. Jiang Taiyu, it's you? What is the Jiang clan doing here? Wan Tianhao, everyone has a share of the deity tier cultivation technique. Don't tell me your Wan clan wants to take it for yourself? Jiang Taiyu smiled faintly. You guys want the deity tier cultivation technique too? Our Wan clan found that chick first. Wan Tianhao said coldly. So what if you found her first? I gave you a few days, but you couldn't get it done. Who's to blame? Let the Jiang clan do it, Jiang Taiyu said with a smile. Wan Tianhao and Wan Xiongfei's expressions darkened. Jiang Taiyu was ranked 419th on the list of top 1,000 talents, one rank higher than Wan Tianhao. Moreover, there were 2 other supreme talents from the Jiang family, making a total of 3 supreme talents. They were no weaker than Wan Tianhao and Wan Tianhao. The 2 sides were at loggerheads. How about this? Let's take that chick back and let the elders of the two clans discuss it. What do you think? Wan Xiongfei said. Okay, I have no objections. Jiang Taiyu said. I have no objections either. Now, it's your turn to attack. As long as you get rid of that fatty, everything will be easy. Wan Tianhao nodded. They had reached an agreement. At the entrance of the cave, the fatty grinned. Inside the cave, Wan Tingting's eyes were filled with despair. Her face was even paler. Evidently, she had also been injured earlier. Furthermore, her injuries were not light. Let me kill this fatty. Jiang Taiyu strode forward, his eyes flashing like lightning. Let's see who you can kill. Suddenly, a cold voice rang out, and a powerful force field descended with a loud rumble. Xian Yanqing was flying toward them. Shao Qing, leave now. The fatty's expression changed as he shouted. The Jiang clan and the Wan clan had 6 supreme talents and more than a dozen young experts at the 5th level of the spiritual sea realm. Xian Yanqing was definitely no match for them. Shut up. Mind your own business, Xian Yanqing scolded. Without stopping, he stepped forward. His body emitted a black light, and his black gauze dress fluttered, making Xian Yanqing look like a demoness. What a beautiful chick! I'll take her back and make her my concubine. Jiang Taiyu's eyes lit up. There was a hint of passion in his eyes. Bang! In the next moment, Jiang Taiyu moved. Like a peerless divine weapon, he broke through the sky demon force field and charged toward Xian Yanqing. Destruction cut. Xian Yanqing whispered. In the sky demon force field, the space was distorted, and a terrifying cutting power erupted. Jiang Taiyu's expression suddenly changed. His body emitted a black light, and he slashed forward like a divine weapon. Clang! Clang! Jiang Taiyu's arm collided with the destruction cut, making a sound of metal clashing and sparks flying. Interesting. But you want to stop me with such means? You're still far from it. Jiang Taiyu's eyes emitted a dim light. His body suddenly moved, as if he had turned into a sword. A slender assassination sword, a viper sword, swam in the sky demon force field. The sharp sound of the air breaking rang through the sky. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Jiang clan's immemorial mystical weapon technique was amazing. It could refine a person into a mystical weapon. Chapter 791. Heavenly Demon's Hand. Xian Yanqing pressed out with one hand again, and a beautiful arm was formed. It was like the arm of a supreme demon, descending, pressing towards Jiang Taiyu. Apparently, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had also improved, reaching the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. This palm seemed to have locked onto Jiang Taiyu. Jiang Taiyu was in the heavenly demon power field and had nowhere to hide. Jiang Taiyu's face changed slightly, and his hand slashed out like a sword. Clang! Jiang Taishu's hand collided with Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon's hand. Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon's hand was defeated, but Jiang Taishu also retreated 3 steps. So strong. Everyone's eyes were wide open. Jiang Taiyu was ranked 419th on the list of top 1,000 talents, and his cultivation had reached the limit of the 3rd level of the spiritual sea realm. Now, he was defeated by Xian Yanqing, who was only at the 2nd level of the spiritual sea realm. Good, very good. Girl, you've successfully angered me. Jiang Taishu's eyes were cold, and the black light on his body became stronger. A sharp chi spread out, piercing the space. At the same time, a black iron sword floated above his head. The iron sword was slender, like a poisonous snake. 9 silver chakras shone brightly. This was Jiang Taiyu's bloodline. Back then, Jiang Taishu's bloodline was a mountain full of weapons. But Jiang Taiyu's bloodline was different. It was only a sword, but it was pure. An incomparably sharp sword intent emanated from Jiang Taiyou's body. It was a vast sword might. Sword essence, that's the sword essence. Someone exclaimed. The sword essence was also an evolved essence. It evolved from the metal essence. Those who awakened the bloodline of weapons, such as swords and sabers, could easily comprehend the metal essence. But the metal essence could evolve into the sword essence, saber essence, spear essence, and so on. For example, the sword essence, combined with the sword-type bloodline and the corresponding sword skill, was extremely powerful. Kill! Jiang Taiyou yelled, and his arm slashed out like a sword. The sharp sword qi slashed forward as if it could cut through all obstacles. The sky demon force field was torn apart in an instant. Demonic lotus! At this time, Xian Yanqing frowned slightly and pressed his hands again. This time, a lotus throne appeared in the air. The lotus throne was black, and a black petal flew out. It was extremely sharp and fought against Jiang Taiyou's sword qi. Clang! A sharp sound was emitted, and the two canceled each other out. Jiang Taiyou's face darkened as he launched a frenzied attack. However, Xian Yanqing was also extremely powerful. For a moment, it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. The other's expressions were grave. Xian Yanqing was too strong, only in the second layer of the spiritual ocean tier. If she broke through to the third layer of the spiritual ocean tier, what would happen? Wouldn't he be able to suppress Jiang Taiyou with a flip of his hand? In the blink of an eye, Xian Yanqing and Jiang Taiyou had exchanged dozens of blows. The two of them were evenly matched. Clang! With another strike, both of them retreated. Let's end this quickly. Why don't we join forces and take down this woman? Wan Tianhao said. Good. Let's attack together. Jiang Taiyou nodded solemnly. Xian Yanqing's battle prowess was beyond his expectations. At this time, Xian Yanqing controlled the Sky Demon Force Field. She was unbelievably fast in the Sky Demon Force Field. In an instant, she appeared at the entrance of the cave. Fatty, you heal first. I'll hold them off here. Xian Yanqing said. No, you alone are no match for so many of them. They'll take turns to attack. You can't hold them off. You'd better break out alone. Kong Jin said. Shut up. Xian Yanqing said coldly, but had no intention of leaving. Kong Jin was speechless. Then he said, Why don't you send a message to Lu Ming and ask him to come over? With the three of us, we should be able to break out. Okay, I'll send a message to him. Xian Yanqing nodded, took out a message jade talisman, and sent a message to Lu Ming. Kill. At this time, Jiang Taishu continued to attack Xian Yanqing. With Xian Yanqing blocking the entrance of the cave, only one of them could attack. While the battle was going on, Lu Ming also received Xian Yanqing's message on the way. He was even more anxious, and his eyes flashed with murderous intent. Miss Chow, it's very dangerous over there. Don't go. I'll go save Fatty and the others first. After saying that, Lu Ming stepped forward, and his speed skyrocketed. At this time, in Wang Haotian's courtyard, Wang Kong was standing beside Wang Haotian, reporting the news. Did he really say that? Wang Haotian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. That's right. Lu Ming is unruly and lawless. He doesn't take you seriously at all, brother Haotian. Wang Kong said. He, unruly? That's because he hasn't met anyone who can tame him. I'll make him bow down to me. Wang Kong, bring that trash with the surname Jian and follow me to 100 Supreme's mountain. I'd like to see how unruly he can be in front of me. Wang Haotian said, and a cold, murderous intent spread out. Okay, I heard that trash with the surname Jian is Lu Ming's good friend. He actually dares to meet a woman of my Wang family. What a pervert! Wang Kong sneered and walked out of the courtyard. Soon, Wang Haotian and Wong Kong brought a person with them, and rushed towards 100 Supreme's mountain. Boom, boom. At the entrance of the cave, the battle had been going on for 3 hours. The 6 geniuses of the Jiang family and the Wan family took turns to attack Xian Yanqing. No matter how strong Xian Yanqing's true essence was, he could barely hold on. He was sweating profusely and panting heavily. Bitch, let's see how long you can last. It was Jiang Taiyu attacking Xian Yanqing again. The storm-like attacks made Xian Yanqing's heavenly demon force field tremble violently. It seemed like it would be difficult to maintain it. Boom, boom. The two exchanged dozens of blows. Xian Yanqing's breathing became heavier. Bitch, I'll cripple your cultivation and bring you back to the Jiang family. I'll serve you well. Jiang Taiyu's expression became colder, but the evil fire in his eyes burned brighter. The stronger Xian Yanqing was, the more his desire to possess her was aroused. You won't have that chance. At this moment, an extremely cold voice came from afar. In the distant sky, a spear light pierced through the void, bringing with it a terrifying sonic boom as it stabbed towards Jiang Taiyu. Jiang Taiyu's expression changed. His palm was like a divine sword as he struck out. Clang! His palm collided with the spear light. Jiang Taiyu's expression changed drastically. His body trembled as he frantically retreated. Whoosh! A figure appeared in the void, holding a long spear. His body emitted a bone-chilling, murderous intent. Lu Ming had arrived. Lu Ming, you're finally here, Xian Yanqing said softly. Little Qing, are you all right? Lu Ming turned his head and looked at Xian Yanqing. I'm fine. Xian Yanqing shook his head. Ha, Lu Ming, you're here. Your cultivation has improved greatly. Great, let's charge out together. The fatty laughed heartily. Fatty, looks like you won't die yet. Chapter 792. My skin is thick, and I can take a beating. Kong Jin grinned. With Lu Ming here, the 3 of them and Wan Tingting would be enough to charge out. Lu Ming's eyes swept across Jiang Taiyu and the others. He really wanted to fight with all his might and kill these people. But he also knew that it was more important to bring Wan Tingting out first. There would be plenty of opportunities to kill Jiang Taiyu, Wan Xiongfei, and the others. Kid, you're Lu Ming? Jiang Taiyu's eyes were cold and sharp. Jiang Taishu, the genius of the Jiang clan, had been killed by Lu Ming in the Heavenly King ranking battle. This news had already spread among the younger generation of the Jiang clan. Jiang Taishu was not an ordinary genius. He had fought his way into the 10 heavenly kings in the king realm, but he had suppressed it. He could enter the Sea of Soul Realm at any time. Once he entered the Sea of Soul Realm, his cultivation would definitely improve by leaps and bounds. He might even awaken the divine bloodline and enter the ranks of the God-grade geniuses. However, he was too ambitious and had been suppressing his cultivation, wanting to take first place on the Heavenly King ranking to increase his foundation. But he had been killed by Lu Ming. The upper echelons of the Jiang clan were furious. Many of the younger generation of the Jiang clan wanted to kill Lu Ming to restore their reputation. That's right. Lu Ming replied coldly. Good. I was just about to look for you. Since you've delivered yourself to me, I'll send you on your way. Jiang Taiyu's voice sounded faintly. In the next moment, his figure flashed and stabbed at Lu Ming like a shadow sword. He was extremely fast and came from a tricky angle. Lu Ming's lips curled into a cold smile. Without even looking, he swept out his spear. The dazzling spear light emitted a sharp whistle and filled the surroundings. Clang! Jiang Taiyu's figure appeared. His palm struck the spear shaft and bounced back. Then I'll kill you head on. Jiang Taiyu strolled forward. His entire body was filled with sword intent. He was like a peerless divine sword. Swoosh! His palm struck down at Lu Ming. Lu Ming sneered and stepped forward. He also stretched out his palm and slashed at Jiang Taiyou's palm. At this moment, the eyes of the spectators flashed. Lu Ming was actually using his flesh and blood to fight Jiang Taiyou head-on. Was he not courting death? Everyone knew that the Jiang family cultivated the art of immemorial divine arms. Their physical bodies were like divine arms, indestructible and incomparably sharp. There was nothing they could not break. Even with a spirit weapon, he was unable to block it. Yet Lu Ming was actually using his body of flesh and blood. At this moment, the members of the Jiang family sneered. They were looking forward to the scene of Lu Ming's palm being cut in half. Clang! Lu Ming's palm collided with Jiang Taiyou's palm. It was as though two spiritual weapons had collided. A sharp aura spread out in all directions. Kacha! Then the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Jiang Taiyou's expression changed drastically. He let out a low roar like an injured wild beast. His body retreated wildly. Everyone's eyes involuntarily fell on Jiang Taiyou's body. To be precise, they were looking at his palm. His palm was bleeding profusely and was severely deformed. However, Lu Ming's palm was not injured at all. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. In a head-on collision, Lu Ming actually had the upper hand and shattered the bones in Jiang Taiyou's palm. How was this possible? Jiang Taiyou was someone who cultivated the art of immemorial divine arms. No one was more shocked than the members of the Jiang family. They knew better than anyone else that Jiang Taiyou's art of immemorial divine arms was extremely profound. He had also comprehended sword intent. His palm strike was extremely sharp, but now Lu Ming had shattered his bones with his flesh and blood. This was a huge blow to their confidence. How is this possible? How is this possible? Jiang Taiyou kept growling. His palm was covered in black light, and crackling sounds could be heard. It was rapidly recovering. Charge out! Lu Ming said to Xian Yanqing and the others. Charge! Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin rushed out of the cave with Wan Tingting. Kill! Lu Ming charged toward Jiang Taiyou. Attack together! Jiang Taiyou let out a long roar. Instantly, another Jiang family's prodigy pounced on Lu Ming. This prodigy was also ranked in the top 500 and was extremely powerful. Luan Tianhao, Luan Xiongfei, and the others charged toward Xian Yanqing and Kong Jin. Lu Ming's aura was wild. He activated the heaven-suppressing Hell skill and the True Dragon of Battle Arts and launched a frenzied attack. The members of the Jiang family were like divine weapons. Their limbs were lethal weapons. When facing them, others could only keep a distance. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. However, Lu Ming cultivated the heaven-suppressing Hell skill. His limbs were like heavenly monuments that suppressed everything. He was also good at close combat. Bam! Bam! Lu Ming struck out with his palm and kicked out with his leg. His momentum was astonishing. He fought with the two Jiang family geniuses. Rumbling sounds continued. For a moment, he actually suppressed the two Jiang family geniuses. This was shocking. In the past few days, Lu Ming's cultivation and physique had improved. Naturally, his combat strength had also increased. If it was a few days ago, he would not have been able to reach this step. The onlookers in the distance were shocked. Charge out from here! Lu Ming roared. His true yuan surged, and his attacks became more and more violent. Haha, amazing! Watch me! I'll smash you! Dandan stood on Lu Ming's shoulder and laughed. Then it suddenly jumped out, retracted its limbs into its turtle shell, and smashed toward Jiang Taiyou's face. During this period, Dandan had swallowed a lot of spiritual herbs. It had recovered a little, and its aura was stronger. Jiang Taiyou was suddenly attacked by Dandan. He was careless and was smashed in the face by Dandan. Clang! Dandan was bounced back. It shouted, "Nest, you're so thick-skinned. I can't hit you." Jiang Taiyou's body was as tough as a divine weapon, but he was still a little dizzy after being smashed by Dandan. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and kicked Jiang Taiyou, causing him to spit out blood and retreat. They were about to break out of the encirclement. At this moment, a terrifying howl sounded. An extremely sharp aura and cold killing intent enveloped Lu Ming. Danger, extreme danger. Lu Ming felt goosebumps all over his body. In the distance, an arrow like a stream of light shot toward Lu Ming's back. Fast, too fast. Kill! The other prodigy of the Jiang family launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming. He wanted to stall Lu Ming. Oh no! Lu Ming sensed that the person who shot this arrow was extremely powerful. He was definitely much stronger than Jiang Taiyou and the rest. He did not expect that such a powerful person would launch a sneak attack on them. He had gone all out to deal with Jiang Taiyou and the other man. It was too late for him to dodge. "Lu Ming, watch out!" Xian Yanqing exclaimed. She was shrouded in the heavenly demon force field. In the force field, her speed was as fast as lightning. In a flash, Xian Yanqing's figure appeared in front of Lu Ming. At this moment, the arrow had already arrived. Xian Yanqing did not even have time to launch a powerful attack. She could only use the power of destruction to rush toward the arrow. Chapter 793. Puff! The arrow pierced through Xian Yanqing's left shoulder, leaving a bloody hole. The powerful inertia caused Xian Yanqing to fly backward. "Shao Qing!" Lu Ming roared. He pushed back the Jiang family's prodigy and grabbed Xian Yanqing's slender waist. They landed beside the cave. "Fatty, retreat!" Lu Ming roared. Kong Jin didn't run far with Wan Tingting, but at this moment he roared and rushed back. "Shao Qing, how are you?" Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing in his arms and kept injecting his genuine core force to seal Xian Yanqing's wound and stop the blood from flowing out. "Fortunately, my vital parts were not hit. I won't die," Xian Yanqing said with a pale face. "Now, let's see where you can run to." Jiang Taiyou's face was cold as he stepped forward. Wan Tianhao and the rest also came over and surrounded Lu Ming and the rest. But Lu Ming did not even look at them. His eyes were looking in another direction. A young man in a black iron battle suit with a cold gaze walked over. He exuded a terrifying aura and a strong fighting spirit. Chaotic wind and clouds. "It's chaotic wind and clouds," someone exclaimed in shock. "Lu Ming and the others are doomed. The Luan family sent chaotic wind and clouds." Chaotic wind and clouds ranked 350 on the list of top 1,000 talents. The exclamations grew louder and louder. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. This was the person who had sneak attacked him. "Fatty, take Tingting and Shao Qing back to the cave," Lu Ming said. Kong Jin's face was grave as he led Wan Tingting and Xian Yanqing into the cave. Xian Yanqing sat cross-legged and began to heal his wounds. Although the arrow had hit his vital parts, the will on it was extremely powerful. Xian Yanqing's injuries were not as light as they seemed. Wan Fengyun stepped forward and stood in the air. His indifferent voice rang out, "Wan Tianhao, your speed is too slow. This matter has already reached the ears of the Empyrean Imperial Guards. The Empyrean Imperial Guards will soon send people here to bring that girl away. After all, she has obtained the inheritance of Reverend Blue Gold." Reverend Blue Gold, was one of the commanders of the Empyrean Imperial Guards in the past. Wan Tianhao's face changed. What should we do? If the Imperial Sky Guards came, the Wan family would have nothing to do with the family. The Patriarch will think of a way to stall the Tian Forbidden Guards for a day. That's why he sent me here to capture this girl and bring her back to the Wan clan, Wan Fengyan said. With that, he looked at Lu Ming, and his lips curled into a cold smile. He said in a cold voice, "Get lost now and you can live. Otherwise you will die. Wind and clouds, sooner or later, I will kill you." Lu Ming ignored Chaotic Wind and Clouds' words. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Chaotic Wind and Clouds almost killed Xian Yanqing. No matter who he was, Lu Ming would kill him. "Haha, from the moment you said that, you no longer have a chance. I didn't want to make a move, and only wanted to take the girl away. Today, I have no choice but to kill you." Chaotic Wind and Clouds said coldly. He stood in the void, high and mighty. The battle intent on his body was even thicker. The Wan family cultivated the 100 battle technique, a god-tier cultivation technique. They were naturally warlike people. Of course, their battle power was also extremely strong. Boom! Chaotic Wind and Clouds' aura suddenly exploded. His true energy boiled, making a sound like a tsunami. His aura was like a mountain pressing down on Lu Ming. The peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm was Chaotic Wind and Clouds' cultivation. The peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. However, Chaotic Wind and Clouds was not an ordinary martial artist. He was a quasi-god tier genius. Lu Ming's true energy was running at full force. There was a faint blue light shining between his eyebrows. "Ha! I didn't expect it to be so lively here. Count me in." A loud laugh came from afar. As soon as the voice fell, a blazing aura covered the sky and earth. 2 streaks of flames, dragging long tails, passed through the void and approached in an instant. 2 youthful figures emerged from the void. Wang Haoqian. Chaotic Wind and Clouds' eyes flashed. At this moment, there were cries of surprise from all around. The genius of the Wang family had also arrived. He was also a quasi-god tier genius. Brother Chaotic Wind, the inheritance of venerable blue gold, has appeared. It's not nice of your Wan family to monopolize it. Wang Haoqian laughed. Do I have to inform the Wang family? Chaotic Wind and Clouds said with a sullen face. Wang Haoqian's ranking on the list of top 1,000 talents was only a few places lower than his. His battle power was not inferior to his. It would not be so easy for him to monopolize the god-tier cultivation technique today. It's fine if you don't tell me. We'll have to rely on our own abilities. Wang Haoqian laughed. Lu Ming swept his gaze across Wang Haoqian and directly skipped over him, landing on a person behind Wang Haoqian. Wang Kong. Wang Kong was holding a person in his hand. His face was pale, and his breath was weak. Kenfei Ryu. The person in Wang Kong's hand was actually Kenfei Ryu. Brother Jian, what did you do to him? Lu Ming's eyes were like 2 sharp swords, piercing Wang Kong and Wang Haoqian. Are you talking about this useless piece of trash? Wang Haoqian smiled, faintly. He looked at Jian Filiu with disdain and said, "This brat is so lustful. He actually dared to have an affair with a woman from my Wang clan. Therefore, I crippled him." Lu Ming's face suddenly changed. No wonder Kenfei Ryu was so weak. It was obviously because his cultivation had been crippled. Damn it, Lu Ming growled. After this period of time, Lu Ming had already considered Kenfei Ryu a true friend. Now, Kenfei Ryu's cultivation had been crippled by Wang Haoqian. Lu Ming, don't worry about me. I'm a piece of trash. I couldn't even save my junior sister. They killed her. You are beasts. All of you are beasts. Junior sister is a married woman, and you still want to reward her to someone else? Beasts. Kenfei Ryu's eyes were red as he growled. Humph, Wang Mang is already dead. Our Wang family doesn't raise people for nothing. Naturally, we have to make the best use of them. Wang Kong said faintly, as if he was talking about something very normal. Lu Ming more or less understood what was going on. Wang Mang was dead, so the Wang family wanted to give Kenfei Ryu's junior sister to other Wang family disciples to play with. Kenfei Ryu's junior sister probably sent a message to Kenfei Ryu for help. That was why Kenfei Ryu hurriedly left and came to Nine Dragons City. Naturally, he was discovered later. Jian Filiu was right. The Wang family was a bunch of beasts. Lu Ming, I heard that you were good friends with this trash, so I brought him here. Hee, looks like you came at the right time. Wang Haoqian laughed. What do you want? Lu Ming asked. Simple. Hand over the token you obtained from the 100 Masters Tower. Then hand over the girl who obtained Venerate Blue Gold's inheritance. Then, I'll give you this trash. Wang Haoqian said with a faint smile on his face. He has the token from the 100 Masters Tower. At the side, Wan Fengyun's eyes flashed with greed. He also needed the 100 Masters Tower's token. I'll use the token to exchange with you, but it's impossible to hand over Tingting. Lu Ming arrived. If he handed over Wan Tingting, they would definitely strip her soul and turn her into an idiot. Chapter 794. A single token? No, I will make this friend of yours live a life worse than death. A cold light flashed in Wang Haoqian's eyes. Lu Ming, don't bother about me. Junior sister is dead, and my cultivation has been destroyed. I'm already a cripple. Don't bother about me. Kenfei Ryu shouted. Shut up. Wang Kong grabbed Kenfei Ryu's shoulder with his claw. A cracking sound was heard from Kenfei Ryu's shoulder as his bones were broken. However, Kenfei Ryu just gritted his teeth and didn't say a word. Damn it, these scumbags deserve to die. Kong Jin roared at the entrance of the cave. Kiki, Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. A surge of anger rushed to his head, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. Kong Jin was right. These people deserved to die. He couldn't wait to rush out and kill them. But now he had to endure it. Behind him were the injured Xian Yanqing and Wan Tingting. If he acted rashly, he would only send everyone to their deaths. When Luan Fengyan had just arrived, he had said that the Ditian Imperial Guard would be here a day later. Perhaps when the Ditian Imperial Guard came, things would turn around. Luan Fengyan didn't transmit his voice just now. Perhaps he was too confident and thought that there was no need to hide anything. With him around, it wouldn't take a day to take Wan Tingting away. However, Lu Ming had to find a way to stall for a day. Lu Ming, I'll ask you one more time. Are you going to exchange or not? Wang Haoqian said. Lu Ming clenched his fists, and his eyes were extremely cold. He said in a cold voice, Wang Haoqian, Wang Kong, if you dare to touch Kenfei Ryu again, I'll kill you. How dare you threaten me? Wang Haoqian's face turned cold. He suddenly turned around and pointed his finger. A blast of energy shot out and pierced a big hole in Kenfei Ryu's shoulder. Blood dyed Kenfei Ryu's clothes red. Boom. Lu Ming's body erupted with a berserk aura. His killing intent was ice cold. No one noticed that Lu Ming's footsteps were slowly moving. Every time he moved, an inscription would sink into the ground. You want to use me to threaten Lu Ming? Dream on. At this moment, Kenfei Ryu suddenly roared. A faint red glow emanated from his spine. Not good. Wang Kong's expression changed. No. Lu Ming roared. Bang! At this moment, Kenfei Ryu's spine suddenly exploded and blood splattered everywhere. Kenfei Ryu had used some kind of secret technique to detonate his own bloodline power. This move was beyond Wang Haotian and Wang Kong's expectations. The self-destruction of one's bloodline power was equivalent to cutting off one's life. Kenfei Ryu vomited blood. He looked at Lu Ming and said, "Brother Lu, it's my honor to be your friend. However, my junior sister is dead, and my cultivation has been destroyed. It's meaningless for me to stay in this world. It's a pity that I won't be able to see the day when Brother Lu rules the world." As he spoke, Kenfei Ryu's life force became weaker and weaker. His eyes slowly closed. Then, his life force was extinguished. Kenfei Ryu, the proud genius who once dominated Jinsha Island and used the alias King of Hell who competed with Lu Ming, had died. Although he had not known Lu Ming for long, Kenfei Ryu was a sincere person. Lu Ming had already treated him as a good friend. Now, in order to not threaten Lu Ming, he had detonated his own bloodline and died. Lu Ming's aura surged violently. His murderous intent seemed to have solidified. "Brother Jian, don't worry. I'll make sure Wang Haotian and Wang Kong accompany you in hell. I'll make sure the rest of the Wang family dies sooner or later." His cold and emotionless eyes stared at Wang Haotian and Wang Kong. For some reason, Wang Haotian and Wang Kong felt a chill in their hearts when they saw Lu Ming's eyes. It was as if they were being stared at by the Grim Reaper. Trash! Wang Kong took a deep breath and threw Kenfei Ryu's body on the ground. "Hee Wang Haotian, it seems like you've lost your bargaining chip. How about this? Let's kill these guys together and take that girl." Luan Fengyan sneered. "I alone am enough to kill them," Wang Haotian said coldly. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Boom. Then he took a step forward. Today, he must kill Lu Ming. He had a bad feeling in his heart. If Lu Ming didn't die, he would die in Lu Ming's hands sooner or later. It was a terrible feeling. Purple flames burst out from Wang Haotian's body. Terrifying heat burst out, and the air within a radius of dozens of meters was instantly burned clean, creating a vacuum zone. A spear condensed from flames appeared in Wang Haotian's hand. It turned into a ray of light and pierced towards Lu Ming. The blazing flames were still 10 meters away from Lu Ming, but it seemed like they were going to set Lu Ming's clothes and hair on fire. Kill! Lu Ming took a step forward. His true essence erupted. At the same time, for different wills surrounded Lu Ming as he struck out with his palm. Dong! The blazing flames spread in all directions. The ground rumbled and cracked. Lu Ming's figure retreated continuously. Every time he took a step back, inscriptions would flash and disappear into the ground when his feet stepped on the ground. Lu Ming exhaled heavily, suppressing the surging qi and blood in his body. He felt a sharp pain in his palm. His palm was a little black. It was burned by the blazing flames. Wang Haotian's battle strength was terrifying. Wang Haotian was also at the peak of the 4th level of the spiritual sea realm. He had cultivated the sky-burning flames incantation to a very deep level. Xiao! Wang Haotian knocked Lu Ming back with one strike. He waved his flaming spear and continued to attack Lu Ming. Pung! Pung! Lu Ming stepped on the ground and quickly moved to one side. "You want to leave? It's not that easy. Die!" Two suns appeared in Wang Haotian's eyes as he continued to attack Lu Ming. Dong! Lu Ming struck out with his palm again, colliding with Wang Haotian's. In the rumbling sound, he retreated a dozen steps, blood flowing out of the corner of his mouth. This Lu Ming has such strong battle strength. He took 2 of Wang Haotian's attacks in a row. Around them, many people were shocked. Wang Haoqian, a quasi-god realm genius, had extremely strong battle strength. Those with higher cultivation than him would be killed by him in a second. But now, Lu Ming's cultivation was 2 levels lower than his, but he could take a few of his attacks without dying. It was terrifying. On the side, Luan Fengyun's eyes flashed. She was also very surprised. Wang Haoqian himself was also shocked. This person must die. Otherwise, I may be the one who dies in the future. Wang Haoqian roared in his heart. His killing intent grew stronger. Flames appeared above his head, and his bloodline erupted. The flaming spear turned into a terrifying killing weapon, burning the void and attacking Lu Ming. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes flashed. Buzz. Inscriptions shone on his body. There were inscription formations that could explode true origin, inscription formations that could increase speed, and inscription formations that could increase defense. In an instant, Lu Ming had carved 8 inscription formations for himself. Inscription Master. Wang Haoqian's eyes were filled with shock. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and stepped out.